and a product that touches all of our lives in more ways than one. As you can see around us, we also have wonderful examples of fashion that we will be discussing later on today, and we're really very much looking forward to that. World Cotton Day is also a chance for us to share, look ahead, share ideas, and to work together for a cotton sector that is more efficient, more inclusive, more resilient, and more sustainable. And of course, for that, we have all of our partners here today to make that discussion much more enriching. Before we begin, I'd like to have a few housekeeping items. As you can see, if you're here in the room with us, we have our interpreters here. We have full interpretation today in 6 UN languages. So that is Arabic, Chinese, English, French, Spanish, and Russian. If you are here with us in the room, you have headsets on your chairs or next to your chairs. And if you are joining us online, please take a look at the bottom of that screen and you will see a little icon with the world on it. And there is where you can select one of your 6 languages. Obviously, we all have the same goal to spread the news about cotton, so we would like to be able to use our social media platforms for that, and we welcome you all to help us, assist us with that. The hashtag for today is hashtag World Cotton Day, so please help us spread the messages further. This morning's welcoming remarks will include a video message from the Director General of FAO, Dr. Chu Dongyu, and the statements from our co-organizers, the Government of Chad, and the International Trade Center. Their partnership and commitment has made today's event possible, so thank you for that. And before I give the floor to FAO's Chief Economist, Mr. Maximo Torero of FAO, let's enjoy a look at this year's curtain raiser that you will find on the screens to my right and to my left.
Cotton's journey begins at the dawn of civilization. Farmed, weaved, and brought to us in diverse forms, cotton is the world's most widely used natural fiber. No matter where we are, cotton touches our lives. It is a staple of the apparel and textile industries, but its uses extend far beyond fashion. Cotton can be used to produce food, feed, and energy, and its economic importance makes it a key export for some of the world's poorest regions. Worth billions, this diverse sector provides livelihoods for more than 100 million families, while half of the world's 24 million cotton farmers are women. Cotton faces significant challenges. Extreme weather events, price volatility, conflicts, and geopolitical tension pose key threats. Currently, only 29% of cotton is being sustainably produced. There is a need to promote the development of cotton byproducts, like edible oil and animal feed, to help farmers generate more income. By harnessing the power of science, innovation, and technology, along with increased targeted investments for farmers, we can promote sustainable growth. On the global stage, better governance and coherent policy making can benefit smallholder economies tied to the cotton trade. World Cotton Day is an opportunity to champion cotton and to shape a more sustainable future. For better production, better nutrition, a better environment, and a better life, leaving no one behind.
I think that gave an excellent overview of what we're going to be discussing in our full day of panels and discussions and special segments and member statements. So I remind you that the topic of this year is the fabric of our lives. So this is going to be the main topic that we're going to be discussing throughout the day. It now gives me great pleasure to invite FAO Chief Economist, Mr. Maximo Torero, to please take the lectern. Thank you.
I hope you can hear me. With the microphone, of course, you can hear me. No, so thank you so much, all of you, for being here with us today. I think having this day of cotton is extremely important, given the importance of cotton in the world economy. As I was saying downstairs in the exhibit, which the topic this time is the fabric of our lives, which I think it represents enormously how the cotton economy impacts all of our lives. We are all using cotton today in one form or the other. We are all linked in certain way to the cotton industry, and the importance of cotton around the world is enormous. 100 million families are being impacted by cotton. They work on the sector. 80 countries related to cotton. It provides income and employment for 350 million people in the world along its value chain. And this goes from crops, from production to the industry, and how it moves into the textile industry and other derivatives of cotton, as we show in the Razer video. And also from many low-income countries and least developed countries, especially in Africa and South Asia, cotton represents up to 40% of exports earnings, and is a critical source of foreign exchange. So cotton is not only an economic commodity, it's also a driver of rural development and a foundation for industry. And that's where we need to keep working and to keep making this industry more resilient to the different shocks that we will be facing. We already heard intensity, frequency of climate events, conflicts, but also nature and the resources that we use and how we produce cotton so that we can achieve a sustainable production of cotton and therefore increase also value added into it. For us at FAO, it's a real pleasure to have you here, Minister. The two ministers that are present with us today, thank you so much for joining us today. And of course, our co-partners in organizing this meeting today. So we will have a very active set of panels today, and more than happy to keep learning from you and to keep learning from what we can discuss today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Maximo Terreiro, FAO Chief Economist. If I could ask, we also have a message from our Director General, Dr. Chu Dong-yu. If I could ask my technical colleagues to play that video message.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to FAO headquarters for celebration of World Cotton Day 2025, co-organized with the government of Chad and the International Trade Center. I would like to thank the Cotton 4+ countries for their leadership in establishing this International Day. Together, we'll be our partners for their continued support. Cotton is more than just a crop. It is so woven into our daily lives, from the clothes we wear to the communities whose livelihood depend on it. This year's celebration holds special significance. On the 16th October, FAO will celebrate its 80th anniversary. It is decades of dedication to ending hunger, improving nutrition, and advancing inclusive and sustainable rural development. Throughout this journey, cotton has remained an important part of our mission. It is cultivated by around 24 million farmers and sustains the livelihood of the more than 100 million families across the globe. And the global cotton trade generates about $20 billion in export revenues annually. Yet, the cotton sector faces a number of the complex global challenges, from extreme weather events to the economic shocks and the geopolitical tensions, as well as the yield stagnation and growing the competition from the synthetic fibers. By working together, we can transform the cotton sector to become more efficient, more inclusive, more resilient, and more sustainable. By producing more with less, the sector can contribute to the four betters: better production, a better nutrition, a better environment, and a better life, leaving no one behind. Effective transformation requires strong political commitment, science and innovation, and sustained investment. It is also called for the solidarity and partnerships, uniting governments, the private sector, civil society, and all the global partners. Ladies and gentlemen, this year's World Cotton Day also celebrates cotton's role in culture, design, and fashion, highlighting that cotton is more than just a commodity. It tells a story of the resilience, of a heritage, and of the innovation. If it remains committed to supporting the cotton producing countries through initiatives like the Plus Cotton Project and the FAO Hand in Hand initiative, which bring together partners to harness cotton's power in economic growth, food security, and social progress. Together, we must ensure that cotton remains the fiber of the opportunities for generations to come. I thank you.
Director General, for those inspiring words and really setting us off on a warm welcome for the rest of the events of the day. It is now my great pleasure to continue with our distinguished speakers and to invite His Excellency Guibaldo Fanga Mathieu, Minister of Commerce and Industry to the Republic of Chad, to take the lectern.
Merci.
Thank you. I'd like to really express my appreciation for the massive turnout this morning. Mr. Director General of FAO, represented by other representatives. We have the Executive Director of WTO, and we also have the representative of the ILO, as well as representatives of different organizations. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, it really is a great honor and a pleasure for me to take the floor today on this World's Cotton Day. First of all, I'd like to express my deep gratitude to the Italian authorities and of the city of Rome for their very warm welcome and for their remarkable hospitality. As every year, we come together to celebrate cotton. This cotton, this fiber that for thousands of years has woven intimate relationships between human beings. It's been at the very heart of many cultures and traditions. Our great presence here today is and the diversity of our clothing and apparel is a witness to the fact that cotton more than ever plays an important role in our daily life, in our cultures, and in our economies, respectively. The theme of this fourth edition, The Fabric of Our Lives, is very evocative because it reminds us of the fact that cotton is a lot more than just a mere fiber. It is actually a heritage, an asset, and a source of wealth that we must preserve and further develop. According to the agricultural perspectives of FAO and OECD, for 2025-2034, the global production of cotton should increase by 1.3% per year to achieve 29.5 million tons between now and 2034. This bears witness to the vitality and the planetary importance of this crop. I wish to remind you of the fact that this very fourth edition of the World Cotton Day is co-organized by FAO, my country, Chad also, which is one of the first 10 countries producing cotton in Africa. Over the past few years, the government of Chad, under the leadership of the head of state, has indeed made huge efforts in order to revitalize and relaunch this industry and the sector. And this is because cotton continues to be an essential pillar of our development, and it embodies the resilience of communities that depend on it. Therefore, it is absolutely crucial to reassert our collective commitment for a stronger, fair, and more sustainable a more planet-friendly cotton industry with special emphasis on producing countries like my own, Chad. In spite of the ravaging effects of climate change that has affected Africa in particular, the cotton industry is the main source of income for many cotton farmers and workers in textiles and their families. Cotton supports entire communities. It finances education, health, and access to basic infrastructure. The cotton industry generates jobs at every phase or every stage of the value chain. It's a powerful instrument of rural development and rural poverty reduction, and its importance should lead us to fight against its vulnerability with determination so that this dependency on the part of farmers is not detrimental to them because of the shocks of climate change. But this requires a diversification and a greater support. And in spite of its crucial role, the Chad cotton industry and value chain is confronted with many different challenges, the main being the volatility of international and global prices that has an impact on the revenue of our farmers, and that make it very difficult to engage in any long-term planning. The decline in production is also a major concern. For the 2024-2025 campaign, the production of cotton has plummeted by 11.5% in the CEFA region, and Chad is unfortunately feeling the decline with regard to the previous campaign because of drought and the lack of inputs. There are alarming figures that point to the need to take action. Environmental issues and problems are also at the very heart of our priorities. The farming of cotton must not use chemical inputs that pollute water and deteriorate soil, without mentioning, of course, our fight against pests, which is still a major challenge. Access to the market and barriers are very important for developing countries, and we need to fight for a fairer, more equitable commercial system. And finally, there are also structural elements like food insecurity and the fact that our land is a bit of an enclave, and this further complicates the situation. In the face of these challenges, the cotton industry of my country, Chad, is not simply looking back and not taking action. It's going through great change, and prospects are promising if we invest more. We, of course, have to engage in the selection of the right varieties and the use of biotechnologies, because all of this provides for significant opportunities. We need to develop more resistant varieties in order to ensure the resilience of our farmers. Chad is also exploring the potential of common and joint programs with international partners in order to promote sustainable practices. The partnership between the Olam Agri and Cotton Chad is an example of crucial collaboration in order to enhance the role of our cotton on the global market. The future of cotton in Chad lies in our collective capacity to embrace innovation, promote fair and equitable value chains, and support the transition of farmers towards sustainable practices. Ladies and gentlemen, the World Cotton Day recalls the importance of this fiber for the whole world, and in more especially for countries like Chad. It invites us to go beyond the challenges in order to build a future in which cotton can prosper, not only as a crop and a commodity, but also as a symbol of sustainability. our engagement collectively is crucial. We need to work together in order to support research and innovation for a more resilient and sustainable agriculture that respects the environment. And we need to also promote fair and transparent value chains that can guarantee fair remuneration. We need to strengthen international collaboration to exchange best practices and facilitate access to technologies, raise the awareness of consumers as to the importance of choosing a cotton that is resilient and ethical. If we work hand in hand, the governments, communities, farming communities, and other organizations, we can weave a better future for cotton and for all those that depend on this commodity. This is an opportunity now for me to speak to you about the National Development Plan 2030. This is an ambitious and rather strategic plan that the government of the Republic of Chad has just adopted at the round table to mobilize investments. And this will also be the opportunity to hold an event in Abu Dhabi on the 10th of November. This plan relies on two important pillars and on projects and reforms, including 130 priority projects with billions of local currency, the francs, which accounts for $30 billion. 46% of investments to be mobilized are going to be provided by the private sector. And these are projects and reforms that are based on a sound program of public and private partnerships. Now, with this rather strategic plan, Chad Connection 2030, we hope to bring about an accelerated, inclusive, competitive transformation of our country, Chad. Chad has quite a lot of potential, many resources, and we are a very rich country. Our country indeed relies on livestock raising, especially. We have more than 156 million heads of cattle, 2 million of dromedaries and camels, and we have a strong unit devoted to dairy processing. But we do depend somewhat on imports, and so through the plan that I just described, we hope to industrialize the country, because up to date we have been rather deindustrialized. Also, we are a farming country because Chad has over 39 million hectares of arable land. But only 10% of this land is currently being exploited. We also have a lot of mines and minerals in the extreme north of the country. We have gold and gypsum. We actually have gold throughout the nation. In the extreme north, we have a resource that's rather rare. And we're the second country in the world to have antimonium. So, in brief, I am trying to tell you that with this strategic plan, we hope to develop our country, Chad, and we are counting on the support of our partners and friends and the whole of the community in order to boost these projects. And we hope to see many people in Abu Dhabi on the 9th and 10th of November in order to mobilize finances. We hope to be able to glean $2 billion in order to boost our facilities. We invite FAO and the UN agencies and other organizations. We hope that you will all attend. We'll make sure that you receive our invitation. Ladies and gentlemen, may this be today a point of departure for a new era of sustainability for the global cotton industry. May we place emphasis especially on the needs of African cotton producers, especially those from Chad. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Excellency, also for that very interesting background about your strategic development plan. And for our other organizer, I would also like to welcome Ms. Dorothy Tembo, Deputy Executive Director of the International Trade Center. The floor is yours. Would you prefer speaking here, or we also have the lectern?
I'll take the opportunity to speak from the lectern.
Wonderful. The microphone is on there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just thought it would be easier for all of you to see me if I stand. May I begin by acknowledging Director General Chun Dong-Gyu, ably represented by Mr. Maximo Torrero Cullen, Chief Economist. We are very, very delighted that you enabled us to partner with yourselves, and we thank you for graciously hosting all of us today. Excellency, Mr. Matthew Guibolo Fanga, Minister of Trade and Industry, Republic of Chad, His Excellency, Mr. Musa Alassane Diallo, Minister of Industry and Trade of the Republic of Mali. May I say, dear friends from the Partnership on Cotton, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may I simply say, all protocol observed, Happy World Cotton Day, and I bring you warm greetings from the ITC in Geneva. I wanted to begin by warmly congratulating FAO Director General and his team for a very special moment in the organization's history. They are celebrating 80 years of their existence, and very much due to be acknowledged in terms of the work that you have been undertaking and the contribution towards the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals. Turning to what brings us here today, I wanted to express my thanks to the Director General, to Minister Fanga of the Government of Chad for co-organizing this event with us. Permit me to also commend the other members of the C4 countries without whom World Cotton Day and the critical conversations we have made possible over the years would not be existing. Recent developments could easily sway our focus on all the work and efforts that have been made in the past few years in trying to ensure that we advance on this critical conversation, which to me now is much broader than being confined to the C4. I think the aspects of cotton, as we have heard from the previous speakers, are ones that relate to the globe, and we should treat them as such. Globally, the cotton sector has been dealt with blow after blow. I think we earlier heard on from DG what some of those aspects are. But let me just, for purposes of emphasizing, try to contextualize this. From rising tariffs and the end of trade preference schemes, one which recently lapsed, to climate-induced natural disasters and painfully low cotton prices. All these are issues that affect not only the C4, Africa as a whole, but also the globe as a whole. Only last week, my executive director, Ms. Pamela Cook Hamilton, was speaking to one of the media people, and one of these things that she said specific to Africa, which I believe applies to the whole world, is the need for us to really focus and ensure that we are now taking issues into our hands and being able to find homegrown solutions. Africa must rise to the occasion and put Africa first. This means, in simple terms, consolidating the African Continental Free Trade Area implementation, including the acceleration and strengthening of regional value chains. At the heart of all this will be the need to reinforce the efforts to empower small, medium enterprises for the following reasons. The cotton apparel is not just one that needs to be addressed from a financial perspective. It is one that not only requires collective efforts to develop the value chains, but it is also one that presents huge potential for the African continent and beyond. Many have acknowledged this, and through our work, we have also, as part of the Made by Africa report, which we undertook with the African Union, kindly funded by the European Union, identified and reaffirmed what had been said by others, which is that this is a sector that's most promising in the value chains, many value chains that have been identified, for purposes of increasing intra-African trade, creating job opportunities, including for women and youth. Within the context of this initiative, the baseline study done in collaboration with UNIDO also reaffirmed this specific position. But we know challenges like limited awareness of the African Continental Free Trade Area provisions and opportunities offered thereof are ones that impede progression in the sector, as insufficient processing facilities and lack of investment continue to prevent the optimization of the potential of the sector. Compounding this situation are the difficulties producers face in meeting their compliance with ever-shifting landscape of environmental and social regulations. I know that there's been quite some work that has started being done in this area, and there are some improvements or some results that are being attained, but I think what needs to happen now is to really move faster, more effectively, to ensure that we are able to support the businesses to actually be able to move not only the products, but to be able to conduct trade. And part of what we have discovered at the ITC is that it is possible for producers to lower their environmental footprint while adding value and getting better incomes. For instance, in Zambia, which also happens to be my country, we have engaged over 130,000 smallholder cotton farmers to integrate techniques that are climate smart, that have more than doubled their cotton yield from 350 kilograms per hectare to over 800. Earlier on, when we were going around the exhibition, there was at one point, I think, an illustration of the work that is also being done from this side. We are also seeing results in Tanzania, where climate-smart agriculture is translating into better yields, better revenues, and better opportunities for thousands of cotton farmers. That's not all. At fashion events from Milan to Rome, artisans from Kenya, Burkina Faso, and Benin have been showcasing their traditional techniques in weaving, spinning, and more. And through their collaboration with social enterprises, their producers are now being sourced by major international houses. You just saw some of these results a short while ago, And one of these items that I'm wearing is a product of that collaboration. So, in short and in conclusion, I wanted to say the past 4 sessions that I've participated in, we have more or less built convergence around what are the issues that are really affecting the cotton to apparel sector. What I think needs to happen now is to see how all of us collectively can be able to respond in a way that makes significant change on the ground. Year after year, we keep coming back to the issues that are hindering progression in this sector. What we are not perhaps doing much of is how best can we mobilize resources, human and financial, to be able to respond in a sector where we see huge, huge opportunities lying ahead of us. Huge opportunities that can change lives, not only in Africa, but globally. Today is a time of reflection, a time for us to actually also spend a bit of time on finding solutions to some of what is inhibiting us to make that giant step that is needed. Thank you very much to FAO for hosting us, and thank you everyone for being here.
Thank you, Ms. Tembo, for those inspiring words. And of course, trade is going to be a very important point of discussion throughout the day in our panel. So thank you for that introduction. This concludes the first segment of our discussions today. So I would like to invite our panelists to take a seat in the audience and to invite the next panel to join me. We are now going to move on to the high-level country statements from countries. So if I could please ask you to join me here. Wonderful, please. Thank you. Thank you. So for this next session, we are going to be looking at the statements by the high-level representatives from cotton-producing countries. And this segment is going to highlight the national perspectives on cotton and contributions to countries in this important sector. I do note that we do have a lot of panels today, so I know it's very hard, but if everyone could stick to time, then we will be able to get through, and we're going to have lots of room for discussion afterwards throughout the day. I do welcome people, if they would like to speak on the podium. I leave that the microphone is there. Otherwise, I will provide you with a microphone. Thank you. So it is my honor to first invite His Excellency Moussa Alassane Diallo, Minister of Industry and Trade of Mali and coordinator of the C4+ group. The United Nations decision to proclaim the 7th of October as World Cotton Day that was inspired in large part by the leadership and the commitment of the C4+ group. The lectern is yours.
Mr. Gibolo Fonga-Mathieu, Minister of Commerce and Industry of Chad, representative of the Director General of the Food and Agriculture Organization, Director of the Center of the WTO, Ministers of Benin, representative of the Ministry of Industry and Commerce of Burkina Faso, representative of the United Nations Association for Industrial Development, ladies and gentlemen, experts, ladies and gentlemen, representatives of international organizations and partnerships for cotton, ladies and gentlemen representing the cotton supply chain and the cotton processing industry, guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol duly respected, I would like to start by thanking the all-powerful who's made it possible for us to meet here today in Rome on the 7th of October for the celebration of the 7th edition of the World Cotton Day. And I would like also to present my heartfelt thanks to the Director General of FAO and say how really grateful we are that he's accepted to co-organize and take part through his representatives in this day. And we thank him knowing how busy his agenda is. Director General, by accepting to co-chair this ceremony, you have eloquently borne witness to your commitment and your determination to support the cotton value chain in the C4 countries, to enable these countries to ensure their participation in the growth of the global economy and ensure their participation in a sustainable economy and their contribution to job creation, to absorb, in particular, youth unemployment and enable the inclusion of women in the economic cycle through income-generating cotton-related activities. And I also would like to address our congratulations to the Minister of Commerce of Chad for his commitment to the organization of this edition of the World Cotton Day here in Rome. Minister Guibolo Fango, thank you. I also would like to welcome the positive contribution of Mrs. Bongo Guela and appreciate all of the efforts that have been made so far to support the C4 plus Côte d'Ivoire countries. And I would associate in these thanks the organizations of the sister organizations of the WTO, FAO, and many others, as well as the members of the Council of the WTO for all of the interest they've shown in the cotton industry. Ladies and gentlemen, responding to the invitation of C4, Burkina Faso, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Chad are supporting our countries, working towards a better integration of our countries in the multilateral trade system. And this inclusion is essential to bring together the necessary conditions for the development of trade and generating investment, which is needed for the sustainable development of the economies of our countries. Mali is deeply committed with the sister C4 countries to work on strengthening the multilateral system through achieving concrete and measurable results that will have a significant impact on the livelihoods of millions of people who to date have not been able to really take advantage of the advantages of global trade. We must work together without hesitation to identify realistic and relevant solutions that will fully take into account the hardships in which millions of people continue to exist on the African continent. Ladies and gentlemen, dedicating October 7th to the world cotton industry is essential for the African cotton-producing countries and the millions of farmers. We hope it will be but the starting point for a new era of solidarity and a new approach to cotton. African cotton represents less than 10% of the global production, but despite our quality, we have to face very hard competition and the support that some developed countries are giving to their own producers. And the outcome is that our farms are increasingly precarious, our cotton-producing farms, as are our cotton farmers, because they have to exist along with the unjust subsidies given to their competitors, and they are vulnerable to price instability on the global markets, as well as being vulnerable to climate change and the consequences of geopolitical and geostrategic challenges to the multilateral trade system today. For Mali, the figures are simple. 4 million people depend on cotton farming, and more than 11% of our exports, 3% of our GDP is represented by cotton. So it is a highly strategic crop. But despite the preponderant role of cotton, it is necessary to recognize that the commitments undertaken by international actors in the cotton supply chain are not being maintained. And the Ministers' Conference on the WTO in Bali, in Nairobi, in 2015 have called for a rapid response to the challenges of the cotton industry, but the conclusions have not been implemented and the questions have not been answered. So there's an urgent and vital question following the negotiations of the WTO. And the answers provided so far have been inadequate, despite the urgent calls from the cotton-producing countries. Those countries for which cotton may account for 12% of their GDP, and a high percentage of their agricultural product. We think of those millions of people who are gathering cotton by hand, a population that is not asking for anything more than being allowed to continue to live. And this is only possible if the global market is just and balanced and open. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, it is important that the opportunity that will be offered by the 4th Ministerial Conference in March 2006 in Yaoundé in Cameroon to finally give an appropriate and fair answer to the mandates that exist in the area of cotton, in particular the 3rd pillar, which is under negotiation now and which has to do with support to the industry. Despite the 2015 Nairobi commitment regarding the payment system and the commitments in 2016, how is it possible that 10 years later, members have not been able to identify a just and balanced solution to the difficult issue of the unfair subsidies? This is incomprehensible. And today, more than 70% of cotton farmers are receiving domestic subsidies report, which is leading to distortions in the cotton prices on the global market. A significant and immediate reduction or total reduction over time is a necessary condition for the cotton industry to thrive, instead of declining and dying a slow death in the developing countries. We're not asking for the world, we're asking simply for the implementation in appropriate form of the rules of international trade. The aid that we're looking for is really simply respecting transparently the rules have already been defined and laid down. And if this is not done, then millions of farmers will have to stop growing cotton, which will have a very negative impact on our development and on the livelihoods of our people and on the growth and development of our countries. Instead, implementing fair rules in international trade will make it possible to considerably reduce rural exodus and also curb the flows of migration with all that entails. So significant support will be very important for the 14th Ministerial Conference. The solutions must enable the payment, the development of commerce and sustainable development, also addressing migration over the long term. Ladies and gentlemen, in the framework of partnerships for cotton, evaluating national contributions and structural programs are to be welcomed. They are implementing measures that are useful for millions of people, and we call for these to be included. We're calling also for a strong effort of all WTO members to really take positions in the negotiations. We remain open to all suggestions for acceptable solutions in the C4+. Long live cooperation among peoples, long live solidarity of the C4 plus Côte d'Ivoire, and long live international cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellence, for those excellent words. It now gives me great pleasure to be able to welcome, thank you for joining us, Dr. Gomnia Mama Fousseni, Director of Foreign Trade of the Ministry of Industry and Trade of the Republic of Benin, and representing Her Excellency Shadia Almito Asuman, Ministry of Industry and Trade of Benin. Could I ask you to take the lectern, please? Thank you.
Excellencies, Minister of Industry and Commerce of Chad, Minister of Industry and Trade of Mali, representative of the Director General of the WTO, a representative of the FAO Director General, representative of the ADC Directorate, representatives of all of the institutions here, dear delegations who have gathered from all over the world, distinguished guests. I would like to bring you here the point of view of the Republic of Benin. I do not have a written speech. I'm speaking on behalf of the Minister of Trade and Commerce, who has asked me, who would wanted to be here in person, and I'm speaking on her behalf. Distinguished guests, August Assembly, it is an honor and a privilege for me to address you on behalf of Benin to express our pride and our gratitude for having been able to organize this edition of the first edition of the Cotton Day in Africa, which was the 6th edition of this World Cotton Day. Benin has revealed itself. Benin has been seen as one of the major actors in the cotton supply chain. I would like to bring you an expression of the gratitude of the people of Benin for that opportunity and for the willingness to support us in our bid to make progress. And I also like to bear witness to the fact that cotton is not simply any old commodity for the African continent. It is an important economic lever. It's a source of income that is essential for economies, and it is also a great opportunity. It enables us to dream of benefiting from our hard work, from our efforts. And having organized this World Cotton Day, I think of how important it is to really enhance the value of the efforts of so many working on the African continent. And I'm speaking to express the voice of these African farmers who work so hard under the sun to produce those fibers, the fibers that we see today. And if we are here today, it is also to speak of the privilege that we have of being bearing witness to the changes that are taking place in our economy. But these changes need to be followed carefully. There's a matter of territorial inclusion. There is a matter of production that will take into account the dimension of sustainability and of inclusion. Behind us, all those economies that we see today are based on the daily work of the farmers. And today, when we look at cotton, we have to understand how many years of work lie behind it, how many years of struggle and toil. And I think we need to bear this human dimension in mind, which makes it possible really to recognize the value of the work of all. And the second point I would like to focus on in the statement is what is at stake for our states in this area of cooperation. You'll see that taken individually, we are weak. But when we join together, and for this we also have to thank the WTO and the other United Nations organizations that have made it possible. And now C4 Plus is on the agenda of the international community. But we have to join together even more, and that is how we can grow in strength. And that's how I would like to invite all partner countries, all the brothers and sisters who are with us to join together and unite even more. The industrial trends in Benin are being supported by the government, and that includes support to farmers. And whenever you see an activity, you have to understand that there is government policy behind it, policy to provide technical support. And in the delegation from Benin, you will see that we have also representatives of the private sector. And they are really at the heart of this dynamic trend in our economy, in the transfer. So the government creates a framework to support the processes. And that's why we have policies that are being implemented steadily to support our farmers, to ensure the quality of seeds, to provide technical expertise that will help make the best and wise use of inputs to improve yields. There's this will, which is material evidence of the fact that when you have a clear vision and the efforts are made, then there will be results. And we see that. We can be proud in our country of the progress that has been made in terms of GDP. And also it is a continental scape reference. When we speak of Benin, now we speak of the industrial area of Gojibe, but Gojibe isn't just one industry aiming at turning a profit. It's an industry that aims at sharing out the benefit of what is being created together. And in Benin, you will see an agriculture that is being supported. You will see industrial workers that are being trained. You will see an agricultural policy and agricultural renaissance that is ongoing. But it is a transformation that also is meeting major challenges. And we have to have a clear understanding, a clear, I would say, vision of what our objectives need to be. And so I'm speaking now, addressing, following the words of the Minister of Industry of Chad, who mentioned price volatility. And it is a real fact. The Minister of Mali also spoke about production costs, and that is equally true. And we need to broaden the scope of our action and also refer to unfair international competition due to subsidies, different types of subsidy and support in different countries. Now, Africa is asking for a better chance to really harness what is best for us. And for that, we need to have policies. We need to understand, for instance, how to produce better with such high energy prices that we have. Kilowatt hours are not competitive with international levels. And of course, here we have the Director General of the Society of Benin Corporation Supply, who can confirm this. They confirm what is a reality for our industry and one of the major difficulties that we have to face. And our hope is that taking this into account will make it possible to mobilize actors better, to really hear the voices of those who are not represented here, the jobless, those people who, however, could help us achieve a better world with greater humanism. And I would like to conclude by thanking all those who are here today for our shared commitment. What is key for us is investment. How can we mobilize investors to support these economies? We have our will is to change things, but for that we need investment. And Benin is looking forward with the will and mentioned by WTO and the other international organizations here. We're looking forward to organizing a meeting in Benin in the short term on investments in the textile sector to support the textile industry. And we know how to organize these events, and we look forward to hosting it. And certainly the Republic of Benin will provide its full support to this initiative. These are the sort of initiatives that can help really support the transformation in our countries. And to all of you, dear members of the C4, Chad, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Côte d'Ivoire, and Benin, of course, we can welcome others and enlarge our group. The more, the better. The better we can be organized with comparative advantages to support each other mutually. And the more we do so, the more our continent will count. And Benin stands ready to do our part and look forward to supporting millions of people who are working and are waiting for political decisions, for political will. If we can offer fair conditions and create a linkage between FAO and WTO, then cotton can improve. We can really improve the livelihoods of millions of people, and FAO can be even ever more useful. And it is with this sentiment that once again I would like to thank you and assure you of the commitment of the Republic of Benin, and of course express the will of the minister that I'm representing here to support the process. We stand open and ready to show you our hospitality, to welcome investment. Come to Benin, help us grow our industry so that together we can rise to the challenges before us. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those words from Benin. And it now gives me great pleasure to invite Her Excellency Carla Barroso Carneiro to the Lectern Ambassador and Permanent Representative of the Federative Republic of Brazil to FAO.
Good morning, Excellencies. It's not a morning any longer? Sorry. Okay, so good morning. Excellencies, ministers, representatives of the International Trade Corporation, of the World Trade Organization, of FAO. Thank you so very much for giving Brazil the floor. It's a true privilege to speak to you today. It's a day that celebrates, from our point of view, not only one of the world's most vital crops, but also the communities, innovations, and partnerships that make cotton a force for good. I speak to you from the perspective of Brazil, a country that has emerged as a global leader in cotton production, but not only in terms of volume, but also in terms of quality, sustainability, and solidarity. In Brazil, cotton is grown with care, science, and purpose. Over 90% of our cotton is certified as sustainable, meeting rigorous standards for environmental protection, social responsibility, and economic viability. Our producers embrace no-till systems, integrated pest management, and precision agriculture, reducing emissions, preserving biodiversity, and protecting our soils. This commitment is formalized through the Responsible Brazilian Cotton ABR program managed by ABRAPA, our National Association of Cotton Producers. The ABR certification aligns with the Better Cotton Standards system, which allows Brazil to be sold globally as a better cotton. Last season, over 83% of our cotton met those standards. The ABR program stands on 3 pillars: the environmental responsibility, which also guarantees that 90% of our cotton is grown without artificial irrigation; the social responsibility pillar, which guarantees a strict adherence to labor laws with zero tolerance for child or forced labor; and the 3rd pillar, the economic viability, which stands for high productivity through efficient systems and advanced technologies. Brazil's leadership in sustainable cotton is globally recognized. Since 2014, the ABR program has been deemed equivalent to the Better Cotton Initiative. Today, Brazil is one of the world's largest producers of better cotton, with over 3 million metric tons certified in the last season. But it's also about jobs. And in Brazil, cotton generates 300,000 direct and indirect jobs, from rural farms to urban textile industries. It empowers families, strengthens communities, and drives inclusive growth. It is a pillar of our bioeconomy and a bridge between tradition and technology. Cotton also reminds us that agri-food systems are more than just food. It shows how agriculture provides not only what we eat, but also what we wear, what we use, and how we live. It expands our understanding of food systems to include fiber, fuel, and innovation, proving that rural areas are hubs of creativity and innovation. Brazil is proud to share its knowledge beyond borders. And as I said, Brazil is also proud that its production is standing as a solidarity pillar of our collaboration. For South-South cooperation, we have partnered with several nations, including Benin, Burkina Faso, Chad, Mali, Mozambique, and Malawi, to support cotton production through technical assistance, training, and capacity building. Since 2006, the Brazilian Cooperation Agency has coordinated South-South technical cooperation programs in the cotton sector, which currently reaches 22 developing countries in Africa, Latin America, and the Caribbean, with 45 bilateral and trilateral initiatives. The cooperation projects in which Brazil is involved focus on the development of public policies, good agricultural practices, decent work, genetic improvement, rural extension, cooperatives, machinery, seeds, and the addition of value to the cotton fiber and its byproducts. These partnerships are built on mutual respect and shared goals to strengthen local economies, promote sustainable agriculture, and empower farmers. World Cotton Day constitutes a valuable opportunity to acknowledge the importance of cotton for developing countries. It is also a timely occasion to recognize that, unfortunately, this product is still subject to some of the most unbalanced market conditions in all international trade. Comme Monsieur le Ministre a dit,
as the minister said, we really do hope that the conference is going to be held next year in Yaoundé in March 2026 is going to indeed yield results that producers are expecting in order to improve their lives. And as the minister rightly said, producers only expect fair international law and regulations. And
reinforces the key role of multilateral institutions such as FAO in supporting cotton production. Multilateral responses produce more balanced and long-term results. Here at the FAO, therefore, we need to join forces to ensure widespread recognition that natural fibers such as cotton are invaluable for sustainable development. As we celebrate World Cotton Day, let us then recognize cotton, not just as a commodity, but as a connector among continents, among countries, among cultures, among communities. Let us continue to invest in sustainable practices, inclusive policies, and on international cooperation. Let us ensure that cotton remains a driver of climate action, job creation, and rural transformation. Brazil stands ready to learn and collaborate for a future where cotton continues to grow opportunity, equity, and hope. Thank you.
Carneiro for those excellent words, and it now gives me pleasure to move to our third continent from this morning's section and to welcome Her Excellency Vani Saraju Rao, Ambassador and Permanent Representative of the Republic of India to FAO. Thank you for taking the floor.
Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, Chief Economist of FAO, Maximo Torero, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and namaste. I would like to convey India's deep appreciation to FAO, the Republic of Chad, the International Trade Center, for organizing the celebration of World Cotton Day today and for inviting India to participate. It is truly an honor to bring India's voice to this podium. For millennia, cotton has been interwoven with the story of human civilization. Cotton has also been at the heart of India's agrarian economy, sustaining communities and traditions across generations. During our freedom movement, the humble spinning wheel called the charkha became a powerful symbol of self-reliance and resilience in India. Today, India is a leading producer and consumer of cotton, contributing to nearly 20% of global production and 21% of global consumption. India is unique in that it cultivates all 4 species of cotton over 12 million hectares, which is about 36% of the world's total cotton area. Cotton accounts for nearly 60% of our fiber basket, compared to the global average of 23%. In 2024-25, our cotton exports were valued at approximately US $8.5 billion. India is also the world's largest concentration of handlooms. Overall, cotton supports the livelihoods of around 6 million farmers in India and employs more than 45 million across the value chain. Yet, the story of cotton in India is not just about numbers. Our government has set a strategy and an ambitious goal to make India a global textile hub with a projected textile market of US $350 billion by 2030 from the current level of US $176 billion, and cotton will be leading the core of this transformation. To realize this vision, India must overcome many challenges, and they are very familiar from what we heard today from other speakers. Cotton farmers in India face low productivity because of small and fragmented land holdings, mostly under 2 hectares, and increasingly erratic weather patterns, especially rainfall. Pest infestation often force our farmers to rely on chemical pesticides, raising both production costs and environmental risks. Prolonged use of hybrid seeds has also led to deterioration of genetic varieties of several cotton varieties in India. Furthermore, global price volatility, which was also mentioned by speakers today, also affects the incomes of farmers in India. To address these challenges, our government has undertaken several initiatives. The Mega Investment Textile Parks, or MITRA scheme, aims to make our textile sector globally competitive and future ready. Earlier this year, we launched a 5-year mission for cotton productivity to modernize the entire cotton ecosystem and enhance yield through research, technology, extension services, and climate smart practices. This mission emphasizes pest-resistant and high-yielding varieties with special focus on extra-long staple cotton, or ELS, and advanced biotechnology. India is also the world's largest producer and exporter of organic cotton, underscoring our commitment to sustainability. The Better Cotton Initiative is helping farmers adopt sustainable practices, especially reduced pesticide use and water conservation and soil health management. Our national branding initiative, called Kasturi Cotton Bharat, rests on 3 pillars: blockchain-based traceability, QR-based certification, and branding. It wants to position India and our cotton globally as a symbol of purity, sustainability, and quality. Our national mission on natural farming is creating an enabling ecosystem for sustainable agriculture, including in the cotton sector. The Cot Alley app, mobile app, empowers farmers in India with real-time information on pricing, procurement, payments, and best practices. While taking actions at home, India is also firmly committed to South-South cooperation, especially in the cotton sector. Our technical assistance program supports 11 African countries, including the C4, across the entire textile value chain. As we look towards 2030, we must work collectively, governments, farmers, industry, and international institutions, to make cotton a truly sustainable and inclusive engine of development. We must collectively address environmental challenges such as water scarcity, soil degradation, and climate vulnerability. At the same time, we must give attention to gender disparities, low profitability, limited access to finance, while ensuring access to investment and fair pricing for small and marginal farmers. FAO can play an important role in promoting sustainable practices in cotton cultivation, empowering women farmers, fostering climate-resistant and dechemicalized production, supporting adoption of risk mitigation instruments such as insurance against climate-related risks. It can also facilitate the sharing of best practices, technology transfer, capacity building, and creation of inclusive value chains. To ensure better seed quality, community seed banks can be encouraged with FAO and other international institutions supporting these efforts. At the multilateral level, the WTO must continue to work towards a fair and equitable trading system, addressing asymmetries in the agreement on agriculture to ensure that cotton-producing countries of the Global South are not left behind. In this regard, India also supports the joint efforts of the C4 plus countries at the WTO. On this World Cotton Day, let us renew our commitment to ensure that cotton continues to empower farmers, enrich communities, and sustain the future of textiles across the world. Now, allow me to indulge in some poetry, and I would like to share a poem by a woman called Sarojini Naidu, who was from my hometown, and she was also one of the leading leaders in our freedom struggle. She wrote in 1905 about Indian weavers. Weavers weaving at break of day, why do you weave a garment so gay? Blue as the wing of a helicon wild, we weave the robes of a newborn child. Weavers weaving at fall of night, why do you weave a garment so bright? Like the plumes of a peacock, purple and green, we weave the marriage veils of a queen. Weavers weaving solemn and still, what do you weave in the moonlight chill? White as a feather, white as a cloud, we weave a dead man's funeral shroud. A poem by Sarojini Naidu. Thank you very much for allowing me to share India's perspective and voice here today. Thank you.
Rao, for that wonderful overview of cotton in India, and of course that wonderful poem, which works perfectly with our theme of the fabric of our lives. That was wonderful. And now it gives me pleasure to introduce our final speaker of this panel session, Ms. Annette Schnegens, and she is the Minister Counselor, Deputy Permanent Representative of the European Union to FAO and the Rome-based agencies. Thank you.
Good morning, and excuses, I did not bring any poem. I was even thinking of maybe I can sing for you, but let's see. So thank you, first of all, for inviting me to this event, excellencies and distinguished guests, to listen to the European Union. I'm really very honored to be here. Since its official launch in 2019, the World Cotton Day reminds us, as we've heard already a lot now, about cotton's crucial role, not just in agriculture, but also rural economic development, in heritage, in its wide-ranging uses beyond textiles, as we can see here today, so just animal feed, medical supplies, bio-based industries. And as we will see later today, and we can already see in displays, cotton also stands for creativity, for culture and innovation. And this is really exciting to see. So much has been said already, so let me just focus on two aspects, which is the EU as a producer of cotton. This is not what comes to you immediately into mind. We're a very small producer. And secondly, as a partner for trade and a partner for international cooperation and for development cooperation. So just some words about cotton production in the EU. It's a niche, clearly. 3 member states produce on around 300,000 hectare cotton. These are mainly Greece, followed by Spain and Bulgaria. Even though small, in these countries, cotton has a really important role. In Greece alone, cotton cultivation covers about 15% of the arable land. It supports around 40,000 farmers, so we are far from the 6 million in India, but for Greece it's very important, and it creates additional 50,000 jobs across the value chain, generating an annual turnover of more than 1 billion euro. So you can sense the importance. European cotton is considered of very high quality. Most of it is grown under organic farming conditions and adheres to rigorous regulations and policies. These concerns resource efficiency, soil management, the use of pesticides, so looking into public health and ecosystem health. One example is the European Cotton Alliance that brings together 2,000 industries across the value chain and promotes, amongst others, the EU Cotton Initiative, which is a collective mark of cotton ethically and sustainably produced. Also, we have an EU circular textile strategy, and that one is really, I think, quite crucial to promote circularity and eco-design, providing new avenues, obviously, for the use of natural fibers such as cotton and developing sustainable cotton and textile value chains. And of course, in Europe, we also face some challenges. I think it has been mentioned already. Being mostly irrigated cotton, more variable and extreme weather events such as droughts and floods are hitting quite hard production, making it more expensive, more unreliable. So these are also challenges we're facing. Now, let me come to the trade and our cooperation aspects. Although the EU's cotton production is really small and accounts for only 2% of global output, the EU is an important player in the sense that it is the 6th largest exporter of cotton globally. Approximately 85% of the total production of Greece and Spain are exported to countries outside the EU, notably Turkey, Egypt, Bangladesh, Pakistan, and Indonesia. And of course, most of the cotton that is exported is coming back in one way or another, mostly as a textile and fashion product. So EU imports represent about 40% of all global textiles imports. Let me mention in this context that more and more consumption goes together with an increased demand for data and traceability and a history. So consumers and retailers alike want to know how the cotton was produced, who produced it, and how it has been transformed into something that we're using on a day-to-day basis. So I'm looking forward later today. You see the faces behind people that work with cotton, that are creating new things, artistic things. This is what really consumers want to see. I like very much the title of one of the sessions, which is called Voices of the Next Generation. It expresses very well the notion that innovation is about people. And we've heard a lot about communities. And these people have a vision and are ready to put it into practice. So, as the event today, we've heard a lot about cotton production in Africa, amongst others. Let me give you some examples of the EU's approach and collaboration to promoting dynamic and future-proof cotton value chains, in particular in Africa. EU and its member states are, I think, quite significant donors and technical partners for the global cotton sector. Together, they support sustainable, ethical, productive and resilient cotton production and value chains, which are traceable. And obviously, we value very much initiatives such as the Cotton Made in Africa. In 2024 alone, the EU contributed about 200 million euro to cotton projects, the majority of this spent in Africa, and most of it to environmental sustainability. And I can just give you some examples to give you a flavor of this. We have supported, for example, in Chad, Côte d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso, the production of organic and certified cotton. Also in Cameroon, we have invested through the Sode Cotton project into organic production, innovative finance mechanisms for the development of local value chains, including development of byproducts. Also in Cameroon, we are investing into regenerative agriculture for cotton and have reached already 40,000 cotton smallholder producers. Then there's a global program you may have heard about, which is AgriChains, which has trained more than 400,000 individuals to promote more sustainable practices in a number of sub-Saharan countries. So again, Benin, Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Chad, Côte d'Ivoire, Mozambique, and a couple of others. I should Tanzania, Togo, Zambia. And also in India and Uzbekistan, by the way, we have trained producers. And of course, as just mentioned by our Brazilian colleagues, we are investing very much in fighting labor, forced labor and child labor through the Clear Cotton program. So I could go on with a couple of examples, also on energy production, renewable energy production, or traceability. But all these examples are really just to show that we do care about cotton, the creation of value for people, for the consumers, and for really make something future-proof that can sustain more and more generations, and that we can all enjoy all these fantastic products. This type of cross-sectoral and even cross-regional approaches is something that the EU is very keen to support, in particular now under an approach that we call Global Gateway, whereby we aim at connecting not just the producers with the consumers, but also with business. And by doing so cross-value cooperation, trying to have more sustainable partnerships that don't stop once the funding for the project is over. So we are very much ready and enthusiastic about continuing our cooperation along Global Gateway and other instruments. And with this, I'd like to wish you and all of us a very successful event. And we look forward to continuing the conversation, hopefully, at the next World Cotton Day next year. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Much, Minister Councillor Schneegans, for concluding this high-level panel from the country perspective. This is a great gateway for us to be able to discuss for the rest of the day, and thank you for giving us the lovely segue for our next section, which will actually, our next panel will discuss fashion and young people, the next generation working in fashion. So I would like to give another round of applause to all of our high-level panelists. Fantastic. And ask them if they could take their seats, and I hope they will join us for the next segment. And I would ask African designer Al Fadi and the Academia president to take the stage here for our next segment. You will have, as they're taking the stage, you will have noticed these wonderful designs that we have around us. Wonderful.
How are you?
Wonderful. So you can please hear. So since we got such a great introduction this morning, now we come to actually seeing it in practice, which has been wonderful for us. I am going to introduce everyone here, and we are going to have the students coming to join us later. But I think that the best way to be able to introduce this segment on the next generation and African cotton formed into African fashion with a Made in Italy and Made in Europe touch is to show you the film that we've done of our event. And so I would ask that we take a look at this, and then we can introduce after that. You can see the fun that we had last week. I'll ask my technical colleagues to play the film, please.
Bonjour, comment vous allez? Hi, how are you? I think the point of being here today is to re-emphasize the importance of retail side of the cotton sector. The idea of World Cotton Day came from many African cotton producing countries. They got together and they decided that the best way to promote cotton and their product is to try to push for a World Cotton Day, for the world to celebrate cotton.
Siamo molto felici dell'opportunità che è nata insieme al FA di esplorare l'importanza del cotone, avere veramente la grandissima opportunità di lavorare con Alfadi, è una forza della natura. Per i ragazzi è fondamentale e avere una persona come Alfadi che le guida con l'entusiasmo che ha Alfadi, che è impressionante, veramente impressionante.
It's really amazing that we had this masterclass today because fashion is all over the world, so you cannot be so focused on where you live, the trends here. You need to understand all the trends and textiles and silhouettes of many different countries and places.
I love it.
Cotton is very important in fashion. It's also a natural fiber, and I think it's good to know in terms of sustainability and everything, where the cotton's coming from, which kind of cotton it is, what the hand is like, what the feel is like, and I mean, cotton is like a founder of fashion in a way.
Que nous voulons rendre hommage à l'Afrique par le textile africain, qui va du bogolan, mais surtout qui va de l'indigo au tissage du Burkina Faso, qui va surtout du tissage aussi au niveau du raffia et le travail du Congo. Et je crois que pour moi, c'est une manière de rendre hommage à notre continent, c'est une manière de rendre hommage aussi au travail que nous voulons qu'il démontre aujourd'hui, que l'Afrique est capable, que le coton africain est un coton qu'on peut travailler, on peut utiliser pour s'habiller, pour l'européenne et pour l'américaine et puis pour le monde.
È molto interessante perché è la prima volta che ci interfacciamo con una cultura estremamente diversa dalla nostra, e infatti a noi ci è parso proprio interessante, diciamo, l'idea di metterci in gioco e cercare di unire due culture così differenti ma che alla fine hanno molto in comune.
This one is fantastic. That is from Congo, the sapeur. We call that sapeur, and they mixed like Europeans and Africans to make a chance for the sapeur, and they use the textile from Burkina Faso. Le travail que j'ai vu hier est un travail de qualité. Et le travail que je suis en train de voir aujourd'hui a une grande évolution. On travaille sur un pagne africain, on travaille sur le coton africain. Nous montrons ici que cette partition de la reine d'Angleterre avec les reines d'Afrique montre réellement une collection sublime. Une collection qui montre que l'Afrique aussi a ses reines. L'Afrique aussi a ses valeurs. L'Afrique aussi a des princesses et des reines qui doivent être vues. Et corriger les deux ensemble avec leur bagagerie, j'ai vu le travail qu'ils ont fait et ils sont en train de travailler sur une collection extraordinaire, comme j'ai demandé, et ils ont respecté tout à fait. Une reine porte toujours son petit sac avec lui.
That a picture is worth 1,000 words. So I think that gives an excellent introduction and a very easy way to be able to present my guest today. Alfadi, whom you got a great introduction in the film, African fashion designer and UNESCO Goodwill Ambassador for African Innovation and Creativity. And we are very grateful to UNESCO for also allowing us to borrow him for FAO and to be able to join this. And I am also very, very proud to be able to welcome Andrea Lupo Lanzara, who is the president of the Accademia di Costume e Moda here in Rome. You just saw the imagery, which was beautiful, which we were able to enjoy. I'm also very happy to say that they are our neighbors, because this is over the new headquarters is over at Piazza Vittorio. And for those of you who know Rome well and are living in Rome, it is also the old Mas department store that has been completely redone. So this was a wonderful opportunity for us to be with you for 2 days to spend the time with Al-Fadi. We will be inviting the students at the second section here to be able to show these beautiful designs that you see around the room, that for those of us not in the fashion world, that we were super impressed to see the speed with which the students did that. And I should also mention that the students did also come back during their summer holiday to start this process, to start all of the research, and then to have the opportunity to work with Al-Fadi. So first, I would like to have a short conversation with both of you, and then we will invite the students to join us and to be able to really talk through how the process went. So if it's okay, I will turn first to you, Lupo, and if you could just give us a very brief overview of the Academy. I know for you this is a family passion from your mother and your grandmother. You also have a wonderful archive. If you could just give us a short overview. Of course.
First of all, thank you so much for inviting us today, and good morning to all of you, distinguished guests. It's a great honor for us to be here. Accademia Costume e Moda was founded in 1964, so more than 60 years ago, by a beautiful human being, which was named Rosanna Pistolese, and she was my grandmother. And today, together with my brother, who is sitting there, Furio Francini, our CEO, we continue this mission, which is a mission in the end, because education is at the center, of course, of any industry, because we talk about lives, and we have an approach which is very human-oriented. We believe that it is very important to provide competence, but it's also very, very important, especially at a young age, to support our students to grow personally, especially in those 3 to 4 years while we address a fundamental period of their life, which is their university and their studies. And of course, while doing this, we also appreciate the story which is behind each and every single student, no? Because even if we think about cotton, the history of this had its, its light, but also at times its shadows. So as every human being, we are light and we are also darkness at times. So we believe that it's very, very important in our approach to support our students to discover who they are, and while discovering who they are, also provide them with the best competencies that we can provide them with. And luckily we have built a network of more than 160 companies which support horizontally to our academic offer the experience of our students, and those are manufacturers. So most of them are manufacturers, so meaning the made in Italy, so where the fashion industry bases its production, and this has enabled our students to be more technical also in the way they express their creativity. Creativity is, and I go back to the personal history, creativity is something that each and every single person inside this room has, because it's based on our own history and our own emotions. But of course, it's also it needs us to be fostered, and the more you have abilities and technical abilities to use, the more you can be free in impacting through your own ideas the society that you want to address. So this is, in a nutshell, what we try to do. I hope I was clear enough. But it's a beautiful journey.
Absolutely, thank you. And we felt very, very, it was a real pleasure to be able to join you there, and your absolutely beautiful building as well, the headquarters. And Al-Fadi, for us, it was such a pleasure to be able to work with you, of course, with the film and everything, but you need no introduction, obviously. African fashion, African cotton, having started Africa Cotton Week. What does this mean for you? I should say that everyone, both Lupo and all of the directors, also Maria and Santo, all described you as a force of nature. I heard that from everyone, and that's what we saw in these 2 days when we were spending with you. What does it mean for you to go and visit a school like that and really show your decades-long experience and all of your background in fashion, and really being able to share that with students and being able to talk about how to bring African fashion and how to marry it together with made in Italy or European fashion?
Thank you. Merci beaucoup. I'm going to speak in French. It's better for me. Je préfère parler.
I do prefer to speak French. I'm really happy, and I would like to thank all of you who are here today for giving a chance to Africa, giving a chance to African cotton, and giving us a chance to educate through creativity for Africa with the great fashion schools. And of course, thanks to FAO for having invited me, and to the Director of Communications. And I would like to thank Greg and thank the team that has done an extraordinary job last week to bring together this team, to meet the team of this great academy that is based here in Rome. Now, Africa needs education. There's only 3, 4, 5% of the cotton being processed and dealt with in the continent, and that doesn't really make sense. There's change underway now, but it's been 45 years that I've traveled and I've worked in fashion, and for to have Africa be recognized. It's not only a matter of having fashion shows or catwalks, it's a matter of producing and making fashion locally to ensure that the cotton of Cote d'Ivoire and all the other countries is processed locally, and it should be used 50% locally with our culture, with all of the work that we've seen through the Academy of Fashion, for instance. We need to have it done. This technical expertise is important, and we need the basis for it. I think that what we've done, working with the Academy here in Rome, has also been an extraordinary step forward, and FAO is doing important work on climate, on environment. I have a degree in tourism, and you think of us as simply tailors making fashion. No, I've worked in policy, worked on developing the image or creation of our country, the image of Africa, showing that the Africa of creators, the Africa of youth, needs to be promoted. And if we don't do it, Africa will not progress as it should. And the schools that are represented here today should also be present on our continent. And these schools need to cooperate with us and with FAO. And we've already seen some important steps forward. I'm a UNESCO ambassador for creation and innovation. I've been doing this now for some 8 years. And we've been working to make Africa a reality. And I call this Cotton for Peace. And this year, I've really focused our work on this, and I've prepared my festival, which is called FIMA. We organize it every year. 42 countries take part, and we organize it in Niger and Morocco. We will be in Morocco now, in excellent conditions, to show that the cultural and artistic dimensions of Africa are very important. And that's how I see it. Today, Africa, with Italy, Africa with FAO, Africa with enlightened policies, Africa with all of the important representatives of the cotton industry, must be a reality. We can create tens of thousands of jobs on the African continent using cotton, weaving cotton, painting cotton, fashioning cotton. In Mali, which I know very well, I see that with everything that we're doing, really the outcome is is priceless. Everything can't come from Europe and be in Europe. Africa has to have its chance, and that's why I'm here. And we have the president of African Creators here. We're working for all of Africa, not only for the C4 countries or the C4 plus countries. We are interested in the whole of the African continent. And that's why we're very happy to be here today, so that we can do good work for our continent with FAO. And I'm pleased to see many people here representing also the African continent. And we're in a position to understand that is a continent of 50 countries. It's not one village, it's not one city, it's not one country. Our continent with Africa, with Europe can go far, and cotton really can be an opportunity for our producers to be recognized. Thank you.
Thank you, Al-Fadi, for those beautiful words. And I should say that this is something that we've really seen your passion for, because in the 2 days, this was something that you were discussing a lot with the students. I think that they really see how important these types of collaborations are to really understand fashion from other areas and all of the traditions, but also going and looking at new ways to be able to do that. And Lupo, I'd like to brush upon this, of course, which is the idea of the role that academies like yours have. Obviously, we had this wonderful 2-day session, the masterclass. We'll be speaking with the students next. But what is the role of institutes like yours in getting young people to be really thinking about the entire value chain of the textiles that you're using, such as African fashion, and bringing that more into their day-to-day thinking?
Thank you very much. Al-Fadi, I love you, man, really. I love you. No, but what you said is so right. 2.5 billion people live in the African continent, okay? We were invited at an important conference some years back in South Africa. We were speaking about the identity of each and every single nation. If we think about the crafts that exist, it's impressive. Those are millions and millions of crafts, millions of histories which go back thousands of years. And this is our responsibility. The responsibility of an educator is this one. It's providing an opportunity while sharing an experience. And this is something that we have to do together. And it's not about Accademia Costume e Moda here. It's about education, full stop. It's not about one school, but it's about the many schools that can offer this. And I believe 100% of what you said. And we could be a bridge to this, together, of course, with all of the other educations, the other schools in the world. But I think about stories, I always like to think about the human behind, And I think about this student called Ekator Nosakare. Ekator Nosakare comes from Benin City in Nigeria. Benin City, as many of you know, it's not a capital. It's a huge city compared to European standards, but it's not a capital. Okay, and Ekator arrived in Italy, through the Sahara. He was imprisoned in Libya. He arrived in Italy on a boat. He was a refugee, and I met Ekator at a platform here in Rome 6 years back. And he had one dream, He had the dream of becoming a designer. So when he told me this, I said, "Listen, Noza," I call him Noza. "Noza, can you sketch me something, please? So I need to know how you can sketch, how you can draw, what is it that you can do." And I provided him with a piece of paper, an A4 piece of paper, and a pencil, And he took it, and I left him there for half an hour. And then when I came back, he drew on the piece of paper i confini del continente africano. Solo i confini, only the boundaries of the African continent. So I looked at him and said, "Okay, you go in. Come in. I don't know what we'll do, but we'll do something." And I look at Santo Costanzo, who's our head of design there. 4 years after he graduated with honors from Accademia Costume e Moda, today the same person is working in Paris for Louis Vuitton. Okay? So this is what education can do. Education is a platform for opportunity. It's a platform for opportunity. So when I hear to you and I listen to your words, you know, I only say, okay, throw it in, let's do something, you know, let's discuss it, let's find the funds, let's allow people from each and every single corner of the world to access education, because it's an opportunity. And it's a responsibility. And going back to what you were saying, value chain is fundamental. And this is what we decided to do, to go with my brother Furio and Maria Di Napoli, who's head of our special projects. This was in 2013. No school in the world was looking at the value chain. There was no school in the world that was looking at the manufacturing industry. They were only looking at the fashion houses. Only looking at the fashion houses. They didn't care about anything else, because they wanted to, you know, develop projects with the big brands, okay? And with Maria, and through an alumnus of ours, which was head of fabric research for an important group, we started working with one embroidery company, one tannery, one textile company, and one silk company. And these were the first four that provided competence between and throughout our academic offer. And today, from 4, they become 160, which I mentioned before. So in the end, it's only about impact. We measure success through impact. We don't measure success through anything else than what we can do to the community we serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Lupo. I am, at the same time, I'm going to speak for a moment with Al-Fadi, and we're going to be walking around. However, could I invite the students to come up, and then you can see the talents behind these wonderful fashions that you're seeing here. So give a round of applause to this wonderful next generation. I'm going to ask you, se posso chiedere di venite qui con la vostra design, e alla fine faremo. Fantastico. Benvenuti, welcome. Se potete andare accanto ai vostri design e noi faremo un giro. Okay, wonderful. If I can ask you to please stand next to your fashions. And as you're doing that, I'm going to ask Al-Fadi a question, and then we're going to come and visit all of this to see the process among these very talented young designers. Exactly. Another round of applause. They deserve it. And I should say it's also a nice mix of undergraduate and graduate programs that they have. Al-Fadi, going into this section where we will take a look at the designs. I'm sorry, did you have something else you wanted to add?
Exactly. Only je voulais uniquement dire.
I just wanted to say that now for the last 3 years, we have created one of the largest fashion schools in Niger. We have 240 students in Niger today studying African fashion and fashion just in general. And this funding has come from a United Nations Fund for Population, which gave us a grant for us to have 240 students today, and it will grow. It can be 1,000 tomorrow, and not only for Niger. We're working in Mali as well. There's a foundation, Orange Foundation, that will support this. So Africa must stand on our own legs. It can't come from outside. It must come from ourselves. Otherwise, it won't work. But those financiers, those who are investing in fashion, are Europeans, and they're investing for Europeans. But there's no reason why African financiers shouldn't invest on African fashion for the development of African cotton. So it's a way of speaking of Africa. We can see that this textile is coming from Burkina, Chad, that are being worked here, in this case, by the Italian Academy for Fashion, by Italians, young Italians, who will be showing their fashion. And this can be done back home, in our countries too. I'd like to take these students with us, and I would like you, ministers and representatives, to understand that this working together with Africa must be real and must support Africa. That's all I want to say.
L'Afrique a besoin de ça.
This is what Africa needs. Africa needs for us to come together and to be respected. And our African creators, not only myself, I'm one of thousands, give them their chance so that they can continue to live in their continent and not cross the deserts or cross the seas and risk their lives. We can create at home, and we can create hundreds of jobs for Africa.
Wonderful. We are going to take a little walk around Al-Fadi. I'm going to invite you to come with me to see the different designs and to have a few words. I will give you your own microphone. Yes. And if you will join us over here, we will make the round, but we're going to have a short conversation with some of our
Hello. How do you feel?
Old friends at this point.
My
Okay, so since we have another 9 minutes, and I want to leave also some time for questions because we've raised some really interesting points here. We have an audience very interested in this topic, but I would like to make the rounds here. So first, I would like to introduce. Apologies because I've got all of the names on here. Mia and Mattia, and your design. Could you tell me the name again?
Ade.
Ade, this is right. And Al-Fadi, I'm going to hand over the microphones to you and perhaps to Mia and Mattia. Could you tell us how you started this process? And then I'd like to hear Al-Fadi. Apologies, the translators and the interpreters can't hear me if I don't have the microphone. I would like to see how you started this process. Maybe show us just very quickly touch upon the mood board, and then Al-Fadi to see how you influence the process.
We started with looking at the Queen Ronka, who is a descendant of the Yoruba tribe of Nigeria, and we combined type of her aesthetic. She's very active in fashion with also like the Queen Elizabeth from England, because Queen Ronka was born in England. She has some English roots, and to blend the aesthetics with her African roots and her English roots.
Yes, I think really the thing is like that's the world, c'est le monde ça. Le monde qu'on voit.
The world that we see, well, we see in England the Queen, and then we see another queen from Nigeria, from the Yoruba people, which showed this design, which is inspired by 2 continents, to show the dimension, to see that there is Africa. In the textile of Africa, there is this dimension, and the work that they did is just magical. Our ladies, our first ladies, can wear this. The luggage, the handbags are included here because a queen is always wearing a handbag. And this is a way to show modernity, and that in Europe, we can't evolve without Africa the other way around. So Africa creates textiles that are also used by Europe. That's what I want to say. Bravo. The work is just fantastic. Thank you. Do you like that? Don't you like it? It's wonderful. Any first lady could wear that, and any lady in Africa, any woman in Africa. And it was made by these young people using textiles from Burkina. We mustn't continue to neglect Africa. Africa has values and it has a wealth.
Yes. We can come here. Yes, and unfortunately, one of the colleagues could not be here today, but we're very pleased to be able to. Could you tell us your name and the design name?
My name is Lina Nattoci. Can I speak in Italian as well?
Yes.
If you don't mind. Okay. Allora, noi ci siamo ispirati.
We do inspiration from a Moroccan photographer. Her name is Alaya Saidi, who looked at female figures in the harem. We used the veil and the kaftan that we tried.
Photographer that they were able to show this design, and that is how they started the process.
Et ça, c'est une collection.
And this is a fantastic collection because it inspires peace, cotton and peace. Why? Because it was created by 2 extraordinary young women. This is from the country that's at war with Russia. She is from there. And the second girl who worked with her is Russian. She's Ukrainian, and the second girl is Russian. So plus Africa. That means a lot. Cotton is peace. And they created a collection that really enhances the role of the African woman. Because this is like a veil that hangs down the back. So they only created the front that is open. It's an original collection, once again, in African textiles. It shows that we can do it all. It's beautiful, it's modern, and I love the spirit of these two warring countries that got together to create something together. So this means that we can definitely be with you in this dimension. We can be together. Good job, really.
We'll move here to the yes. Okay. Lucia and Cecilia, who you also saw in the film. And one of the things I wanted to note here is that they used African style here to be able to do this fabric, and they decided to be able to really give a look. And I must say that Mamoun, my colleague, thought this was made in Africa. So I don't know if over there when he saw it. So he was very happy to discover that it was actually done in Rome. Can you say something about, and of course you have the mood board, how you decided to do this, something about the style, and then I will have Al-Fadi discuss.
Okay. So we started trying to understand things that are really important in African culture. So we started to notice that plangi is the tie-dye technique is really important for the colored of the textile in Africa. So we wanted to recreate this technique by ourselves, and so we try different type of technique and then choose for this one, and for the design we wanted to start from the Turkana girl that has this collar that is really big that we wanted to recreate by this scarf. And so, for us, it was really important also to use the indigo color, as it's really important for the Mali culture, and yeah.
Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you. Wonderful. I think we need to applaud them. The mood board is the research work. It's the research that takes 2 or 3 months to try to find the color techniques and textiles before creating the apparel. We speak of dyeing and indigo. The women in Mali, in Nigeria, and Burkina, they make the dye, and we live off of that, even when it's made, when it's dyed in Mali or in Africa, it's just extraordinary. She tried to do that. This is the indigo that she created herself. She created the color here by hand. And this is what our moms and our sisters make and do in Africa. And the same applies to to show this dimension that could be worn by anybody from any race, of black, sallow skin. And this is shows the modern dimension, but it's 100% cotton that can actually be worn even in the winter time. So great job. It's really superb. This is an African technique which can definitely give an opportunity to Africa to do this on site with them. We don't want to work alone. I want to work together with our students, and that Africa can become a continent where there can be an exchange. So great. Great job for your school, too.
Designs. Yes. And then I'd like to open it to questions. Yes. And I can say that Al-Fadi had this level of energy the entire 2 days that he was with us at the Institute. So, other beautiful fashions here. I'm going to ask maybe for names and the name of the design.
Good morning, everyone. Our name of the design is called Desert Flower, and our inspiration came from Fior and Bobo Kaftan. So we decided to mix the two styles and create something unique and wearable.
Thank you. Would you like to say a word?
Yes. Pour le kaftan
For the African kaftan, the Moroccan kaftan, the kaftan from Algeria, they can be modernized like this with African textiles. I don't think that, a kaftan is something that you wear at a house or at the mosque. I mean, this is something that can be worn by everybody and anybody with this textile. It's wonderful. We can do a lot with our fabric. It's just a way to show that this diversity, this modernity can take Africa a long way. Thank you and good job.
To just introduce themselves and their fashion.
Good morning, my name is Sofia. Our design name is Mula Gele because we choose to take inspiration from the Gele, the Nigerian Gele. And also thanks to Mr. Fadi's suggestion, we had as inspiration Nika Davis Okundaye. And so he suggested us to implement like the necklace that she often wears. And so we decided to replicate it with macrame. And we also try to take like the plates of the gele in our dress with like moulage.
Voilà. Wonderful. Bravo.
Sorry to speed through, but I'm going to go to the next here.
Hi, my name is Manuel Pfeiffer, and our project is called Raw Soul. It takes inspiration from the cotton itself, which like emerges on the shirt, and creates like a sort of glitch effect and an interruption between Western European fashion and African fashion. So the shirt is kind of draped, and it holds some characteristic like elements like the color, but is mixed together with African fashion and draping. And so the flowers emerge like wounds on the skin.
Grazie, thank you. Yes. And apologies, you're going to have to walk around afterwards to be able to see, but last.
Good morning. Our design name is Ambiance Féminine, and we also took inspiration from the Le Sapeur in the movement in Congo, and we wanted to take the masculine symbols and put it on the feminine body.
Voilà. Ça c'est très bien, ça c'est très intéressant.
This was really interesting because the sapeurs in Congo, we know what happens there, but they wanted to draw inspiration from them to create these ties and wear them.
Et c'est un travail.
It's a high quality work that can be sold anywhere. You see, it's only African fabric that is made. These are skirts made by Thais, completely inspired by the sapeur in Congo. Everything has a history, of course. I really like this, so good job, well done. I spent a whole day with them. I wanted them to have inspiration from Africa and find a solution for Africa and for Italy. Thank you for the school, and thank you to the students. Do you like it? Do you like what they've done?
Students will be here for a while afterwards. You are welcome to be able to discuss with them and with the Academy. As you've seen in the atrium are other beautiful designs that they have lent us for today. So I definitely at lunchtime and everything and at the reception, please go down to see everything and speak to this wonderful next generation. We have time maybe if there are 2 questions, and then we're going to have to move on to the next section. Any questions from the audience? As you can see, you have people who are very passionate about fashion and mixing design. So if there's anything from the audience, we would be happy to take it. No? No question? Yes, please. If the messenger could help, or...
Bonjour à tous.
Good morning, everyone. I am Marie Dunomé from Côte d'Ivoire. I'm an artisan. I dye fabric. We also make that. We practice that in Côte d'Ivoire. What I'd like to say today is that we would very much like to participate in future editions with textiles from Côte d'Ivoire. We have several motifs and we have beautiful fabric, and we'd like to showcase it here at FAO. So this is what I wanted to contribute. I think that we know what you do make in Côte d'Ivoire. It's a sublime country. What you do is fantastic. When we were talking about the C4 Plus, somebody asked me, what is the plus for? And I said, well, Côte d'Ivoire. I'm from Niger, but I'm also from Mali. And so the way in which I defend Mali is to say that I was born in Timbuktu, and my parents too, so Mali is part of me. And I'm actually preparing a caravan for peace in Timbuktu for next week to showcase our cotton, but to also talk about peace. Because when cotton works, that there's no war. That's why we need to talk about peace. And Côte d'Ivoire is part of us. And Côte d'Ivoire is a part of this modern spirit, and the school with FAO and the academy, Côte d'Ivoire too, should be part of this group because we need education. We have about 2, 3, 4 million young people that need training when it comes to fabric and production and dyeing. It's up to us to educate our children so that they can stay where they are, because fashion and the creation of textiles is also a way of keeping our children at home in our country. I think it's important for everybody. Thank you.
As you see, we could probably discuss this for another hour. This is an opening to our discussion about cotton, African cotton in fashion, and from other regions. Please join me for a round of applause for the Academia, for Al-Fadi, for all of these wonderful students who have done such a miraculous, wonderful job. Thank you for being here with us today. Thank you, all of you. Bravo. Fantastic. After that, we are going to be moving to our next segment. But as I said, please, I invite you to come up here, look at the nice explanations for all of the artwork, and to speak with the students. Fantastic. Thank you. Al-Fadi.
Left of interpretation.
Okay, great,
so
great.
We're going to wrap up at 1.
Thank you, Al-Fadi. Thank you, Lupo. Thank you to the whole Academia. Ups. Great. So what can I say except a huge thank you to everyone involved in this and all of the time for having done this. We are now going to move into our high-level panel on interventions by heads of international organizations, cotton value chain. So if I could ask colleagues to be able to come to the floor, and I am going to turn over the moderation to Mr. Frank von Rompuy on behalf of the Secretary of the Partnership for Cotton at UNIDO. So great to have our partners here. Fantastic. Yes, I'm going to hand over.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. This was a truly inspiring session. I personally would have wished that we could have continued, but I'm sure that you will find the next session equally inspiring. Could I please invite the high-level panel to take their seats? Mr. Pogam, Ms. Tembo, Mr. Torero. I suggest that there is no particular order, I think, for you to sit, so please feel free to take your seats. Representatives from UNIDO, Mr. Tezera and Ms. Sarsu, please. Yes, we have. Can we have one more microphone? How many microphones do we have? Yes, if this. This one. Okay, so Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, distinguished partners, welcome to this high-level panel on Cotton Value Addition. My name is Frank van Rompuy. I am UNIDO representative in Geneva, and it is my honor and true pleasure to moderate this high-level panel on behalf, as was said, of the Partenariat pour le Coton, or the Cotton Partnership. Ensuring that developing countries benefit from the earnings of cotton production and cotton processing is explicitly mentioned in the UN General Assembly resolution proclaiming World Cotton Day. At present, the main proponents of this resolution, the Cotton 4 plus Côte d'Ivoire, only process 1% of their cotton. As we have heard, their ambition, in line with other developing cotton-producing regions, is to significantly increase this ratio. The focus on value addition for this high-level panel is therefore very appropriate, as is the reference to the Cotton Partnership, given the partnership's objective to effectively support value addition and to attract investment. In the next 1 hour, or is it 45 minutes? I believe we have been given up to 1 o'clock, so we will have to shorten the session. So in the next 45 minutes, our distinguished panelists will be exploring key strategies for adding value, and they will provide perspectives on how best to build a sustainable textile and clothing industry in cotton-producing countries, especially in the C4 countries. Their insights will be taken on board in further developing the Partenariat pour le Coton. So this is not just talk, empty talk, this is talk that will be taken on board in further fashioning the initiative that has been initiated. We come to that in a moment, named the Partenariat pour le Coton. Our panel is comprised of senior management representatives of the main international organizations that are supporting World Cotton Day. There is one main organization missing. Unfortunately, UNCTAD could not participate, but they will be there with us, no doubt, for subsequent World Cotton Day events. We have Mr. Jean-Marie Pogam, Deputy Director General at the WTO, well known to most of you. Thank you for joining the panel, Mr. Pogam. We have Ms. Dorothy Tembo, who earlier on spoke, co-organizer of this edition of the World Cotton Day, Deputy Executive Director of the ITC. We have Massimo Torero, Chief Economist of the FAO, who represents the Director General of the FAO. We have Mr. Dejene Tezera, Director of the Division of Agribusiness and Infrastructure Development at UNIDO. We have Eric Trachtenberg, Executive Director of the International Cotton Advisory Committee. We have Ms. Fatma Sarsu, who is the acting head of plant breeding and the genetics section at the International Atomic Energy Agency. And we have with us online, I hope, Mr. Dan Rees from the ILO, Director of the Better Work Program, is able to connect. He should join us online from ILO headquarters in Geneva. Given the time that we have been given, we might not be able to take questions from the floor, so we'll go for a round of questions and answers with the panelists, but should there be time left, we can take perhaps one, maximum two questions. But before inviting the speakers to share their views, allow me to briefly introduce the Cotton Partnership. This is an innovative partnership of international organizations, development agencies, financial institutions, as well as private sector entities that has been put together to support cotton transformation and value addition in developing countries, with an initial focus on the C4 plus countries. The partnership was launched at the WTO Ministerial Conference in 2024 in Abu Dhabi, and it currently comprises, apart from WTO and FIFA, UNIDO, ITC, ILO, ICAC, IAEA, UNODC, that is the Office for Drug and Crime Control, Better Cotton Initiative, Cotton Made in Africa, as well as a number of financial institutions. First and foremost, founding member, Afreximbank, the African Development Bank, the International Finance Corporation, the Islamic Trade Finance Corporation, the Africa Finance Corporation, as well as the West African Development Bank. So this is a wide range of entities with complementary mandates, with complementary expertise and resources. And this is a partnership that we really believe in and that will take the recommendations of the distinguished panelists into action. I would, with this introduction, like to turn to the first speaker, DDG Pogam. The idea for, there's a microphone here. The idea for World Cotton Day originated at the WTO in 2019. For simple reasons, the WTO is central in discussions on trade, cotton trade and development. With this in mind, could you please share with us your perspectives on how the WTO, the Secretariat, as well as its members, can support developing countries, particularly the C4, in moving up the value chain? Mr. Pogam, please.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Modérateur.
Thank you very much, dear Frank. Ministers, Excellencies, dear friends, it's truly a great pleasure to be part of this World Cotton Day because it started, as you've said, about 20 years ago, thanks to the vision of the C4 countries that were not part of the C4 yet because they didn't exist yet, but they were the engine behind the initiative, which is very ambitious to launch African cotton. WTO is involved in the campaign in three ways. The first was recalled by the Minister of Mali because the central role of WTO is to try to create a level playing field so that cotton producers in Africa and elsewhere are not penalized. And several speakers, including the ambassador of Brazil, said that they are through internal supports and subsidies, and there is an engagement to negotiate in order to try to reduce the conditions and create a level playing field. The negotiations that you were talking about earlier were, I'm trying to find a way to say this, but they were envisaged within the framework of agricultural negotiations. Subsidies to exports were eliminated in 2015, but during our ministerials, we kept going into them. So this is one point. Of course, between now and Yaoundé, we need to keep working. That's the next WTO ministerial coming up in March, and we need to create a new pact on agriculture. There was another subject that was mentioned by the Minister of Chad, that was also mentioned by Ms. Tambo, access to market. This is definitely becoming more complicated today because of the customs tariffs coming into the picture, the duties, and this is more complex today, especially because of the U.S. Commercial or trade policy. And this is has to be studied very clearly. We don't yet have any data, WTO, concerning the impact of duties and tariffs on cotton flow, but we have to see how this can impact African producers. This is something we need to look into. Also, we need to be pragmatically open because part of these tariffs are differentiated according to countries, so there could be opportunities, and even in Africa, there could be opportunities to benefit from that. So we need to look at the positive side. So WTO is working on competition levels, so creating a level playing field. Secondly, added value, and this goes back to what was said with a lot of passion in the previous roundtable. How can we make sure that people remain in the continent? And here we have deployed technical assistance. I've got a whole list, which I'm not going to get into, but one example for all, Burkina Faso, with the support of a certain number of WTA instruments, have put in place policies to facilitate exchange, and that has reduced customs lead times from days to hours. And we have other tools to enhance the byproducts of cotton. And at WTO, we have ways to follow and monitor projects of investment in cotton. So this helps, and it makes it possible to increase the added value. The third area, and you mentioned this, dear Frank, is the creation of partnerships for cotton, because this is the first time in which we have come together, all the agencies that have something to say and to do when it comes to cotton, and we have upscaled all that. We started with a rather global diagnostic that made it possible to come up with an investment figure around 12 billion to try to have figures in mind. So 12 billion, it's not inaccessible. I mean, it's a figure that can definitely be reached in terms of a possible investment scale to indeed produce and process cotton in the C4 plus group countries. Now, of course, producers need to move to concrete action, but that requires putting together investors and donors, or financiers rather. They need to be brought to the table, and we need to think about that between now and the ministerial conference of WTO. One last element, just to say that we also have platforms that we use in order to identify new challenges in the sector. We talked about problems of acid that can affect production of cotton, but there are also more positive aspects, as, for example, opportunities that come from the market demand for sustainable production, and this can actually be of benefit to African cotton. A colleague from ICAD showed earlier that indeed, the African cotton industry is rather sober and is more friendly when it comes to climate change than others. Anyway, I'll stop right here. Thank you.
DDG program. So I retain that the WTO is, apart from an important space for negotiation, it's also offering, thanks to its convening power, a space for action. And the Partenariat pour le Coton is one prime example of this. And I wish to personally, on behalf of all my colleagues directly involved in this Partenariat, to thank you personally for your personal engagement, as well as that of Dr. Ngozi, to this initiative. We are well on the way, I believe, to soon see concrete results in the countries that we are supporting. So with this, I would like to turn now to Ms. Tembo. The agency with a mandate to support SMEs, the integration of developing countries and particularly SMEs into international trade. For cotton, Ms. Tembo, for cotton to play a truly transformative role in the economic and socio-economic development of countries, countries will need to foster a vibrant ecosystem of SMEs. We have already heard and seen some examples of what this could mean. But could you, from your perspective, please share with us your views on how SMEs can better integrate into regional and global cotton-based textile and clothing value chains. Ms. Tambo, please.
I apologize for that. Thank you very much for that important question and appreciating the opportunity to engage with everybody once again. I think as I was trying to reflect on how best to respond to the question you've just posed, I tried to think of it from this perspective. We, as partners in various fora or various parts of the work that we do, we are talking about creating that enabling environment. And the question I think we have to pose is why? The why, I think, lies in the business, on the business side of it. And that business side largely focuses on SMEs, because when you look at the composition of SMEs at the country level or regional, indeed global, they take up a fair chunk of many of the economies around the world. And this is where we come from as an organization in terms of what it is that we can do to support SMEs to actually be able to do business. I think the second point linked to that I wanted to make is the fact that business does not stop. Business has to continue whether we have a very conducive environment or not. I think the issue is how we all collectively work together to try and enhance that environment that is existing, to make sure that we are enhancing the performance of the SMEs, to make them more competitive and to be able to do business even better. So this is really the angle we are coming from. And what exactly are we trying to address ourselves to when we talk about integration of SMEs in the regional value chains or indeed the global value chains? We're really talking about a systematic, effective, and efficient way that allows us to better coordinate policy, investment, and capacity building. So these are the elements that I took into account in trying to respond to your question. And here I wanted perhaps to focus on a few critical areas that we have established as part of our work, whether it's from an analysis perspective or indeed the projects or programs that we are implementing. First area that I wanted to unpack a little bit relates to training and skills development. We have repeatedly been saying since morning that the landscape has changed. The demands of the markets are changing. It demands to have a different approach, both in terms of the technological side of issues as well as the skills building for the businesses to be able to respond effectively. Second point, very quickly, cognizant of the limitations of time, is an aspect related to understanding what the market requirements demand. And in here, I would want to put in issues relating to standards, issues relating to the sustainability requirements, and what we would need to do around that. One is the creation of the awareness around these aspects, and I think collectively as part of those who are in this partnership, we have been progressively working towards enabling tools that provide us a good sense of understanding of what the requirements are. But accompanying that, we will need the capacity building to ensure that not only are the businesses understanding, but we are accompanying them in the process for them to be able to either adapt or adjust their productive side of things to be able to meet what is demanded of them in the different markets. And here, absolutely agreeing with what DDG has said. I think on face value, we all say this is expensive, and maybe it's not even thinking. I think meeting some of those requirements can be expensive. But at the same time, they could be a silver line in, trying to adjust the businesses to be able to meet. Why do I think they could be a silver line? It could actually be a niche for the businesses to be able to export in relation to some of the products with a value add, because you have gone that extra mile to meet additional requirements which the consumer on the other side is looking for. So I think it's always good to try and do that. Maybe one but last point I wanted to make. In all this, we need to see where the opportunities also lie in relation to the regional integration efforts that are being made. So, Continental Free Trade Area for Africa, that is one opportunity that has to be leveraged. Can we see a process where we accelerate not only the operationalization, but the implementation, particularly as it relates to the cotton to textiles sector? These are some of the elements. Can we accelerate the trade facilitation efforts that are being made? I think oftentimes you will find inconsistencies between what's happening at the regional integration process level, for instance, in the East African community or SADC or ECOWAS or any, and what is being sought perhaps at the international level. Perhaps even commitments already having been made are ones that are not followed through at a continental level. Why should there be that distinction when there's already a commitment? We should be building and trying to see how we can support businesses. I think second point to that is regional good, multilateral best. We need to maintain the momentum with regards to what is being negotiated within the multilateral context. Not one entity can be able to respond to all the issues that are raised by the different countries, which is why a partnership such as this one is critical. There are more partnerships that are out there. Coordination and synergizing is really important. Ensuring that as part of this whole process, we enhance the capacity of national and regional institutions is a very important dimension of what we have to do if we're looking at sustainability of any help that we're providing. It's not enough for ITC, for UNIDO to go in, have the intervention. Once you're out, it all crumbles. It's important that we are working with national partners or regional partners to entrench that capacity so that beyond our interventions, there is continuity to that. As an organization, we continue to entrench all these issues in the way we work, in the partnerships we generate, in the projects such as the one relating to the Global Textile and Clothing project that we are implementing, what we are also implementing under the AFCFTA. And we continue to do that, and we welcome all the help that we can.
Thank you very much, Ms. Tembo. I believe that we couldn't agree more with your point about coordination, the need for coordination, ensuring synergies and country and regional leaderships. And I believe that in terms of to come back again to the Partenariat pour le Coton, that this principle is well agreed upon. The leadership is with the countries, with the group of the C4+, and the development partners, financial institutions supporting the national and regional priorities. I also took good note of your points on the enabling environment, also the need for capacity building for SMEs to access markets. You would like to? Okay. Okay. The next person that you can pass the microphone to is Mr. Massimo Torero. Mr. Torero, cotton exports, as we have heard, represent an important source of earnings for a large number of countries, and for some LDCs, even a vital source of income. As FAO's chief economist, you are all too aware of the risk of commodity dependence. In your view, what measures can countries best take to strengthen the cotton value chain with the objective of reducing reliance on raw cotton exports. Mr. Toledo.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for all the comments. So the first thing to understand is, as I have been saying since the morning, is that the cotton sector really is touching significant amount of families. 100 million families, is creating income or employment to 350 million people, and 40% of the export revenues in these countries are coming from cotton. So, but at the same time, most of the exports of cotton are raw fiber, and 15% of cotton-producing countries have only 15% have a significant textile industry, which means that there is enormous space to improve, and there's enormous space to look at what can be done, like the beautiful designs that we have seen this morning, plus other many products that can be derived from the cotton industry. But also, I want to raise 4 points which I think are important in this context. The first one is that we need to strengthen the value chain, but also we need to assure that the value chain is sustainable. And that's crucial. Normally, we try to scale up production, scale up exports, but we don't look at the sustainability of our value chains. And that's important because we want to have this product to continue to intensify production and improve, but they need to be careful in how inputs are being used. There are studies from the FAO, ICAC, and the World Bank that show that climate-smart irrigation, like drip irrigation, can reduce the use of water in 30 to 50%. And that's a major constraint that we will be facing in the future, which is availability of water. Also, integrated pest management mechanisms could help to reduce chemical pesticide application between 25 to 40%, which is extremely important, and that won't lower the yields, which is something that we need to take care. So if we want to ask smallholders to adopt technologies and innovations, we need to be very careful that they are not affecting their income and that they are not reducing their yields. In India and Pakistan, for example, farmers adopting precision soil and moisture monitoring achieve yield gains of 10 to 17% while cutting input costs in 20%. So this is possible, and that's something that we need to move forward. So the goal is to scale up these practices to assure that we are more resilient through climate-smart systems, use more efficiently our natural resources, and reduce also the expenditure in pesticides when they are not needed because we can do integrated pest management. The second point is how we add value through domestic processing. And here, this is key. UNCTAD and the African Development Bank showed that 1,000 tons of cotton lean processing domestically can generate between 80 to 120 direct industrial jobs and up to 400 indirect jobs in logistics, so and trade and services. So this is extremely important on how we can expand the impact of value addition. Also, countries have expanded dyeing, spinning, and weaving capacity, such as Bangladesh, Vietnam, which they have tripled export revenues by adding value to it. And again, it's useful. The maquila that happens with cotton is enormous, but we need also to have safe regulation. The thing that you don't want also in this type of value addition is that you set up a maquila which is temporal. You want to create value added and continue to improve in these countries. Textile parks, renewable energy power processing zones, and vocational training centers will be central for this. The third point is how we can improve competitiveness and income diversification, which also depend on product differentiation and innovation. And here is what Paul Kagame was saying at the beginning: we need to increase market access. That's where the Free Trade Agreement of Africa is so important. In the case of cotton, it should be simpler than in the case of food, because the food safety standards are not necessarily there. NTBs should be lower, so we need to find ways to accelerate that process. But we also need to bring innovation into the production, and we need to find mechanisms in which we can increase the price premiums in this process to work. Another issue which is important in increasing efficiency and access to market is that we need to expand the different products that can be derived from cotton. So it's not just clothing, it's not just the maquila, but it's also edible oil and other products that can be generated from it that will bring bioenergy, medical bioplastic products, which can create a new zero-waste system, a new rural enterprises. So the whole system of the value chain needs to be assessed and try to see how we can optimize at maximum the use of this resource. Fourth, we need to focus on structural bottlenecks that happens in many of these sectors. These are linked to finance, trade logistics, and market access. And here we need to keep innovating in financing instruments, especially for small farmers, how we can organize them so that we can give them more access to finance. But also on trade, we need to accelerate on the intra-Africa free trade agreement and try to minimize the issues of tariffs so that we can have bigger mobility of commodities with more value added across the continent. And also we need to harmonize the standards. No? We need to improve on how we can harmonize the standards across the region. So there are many successful experiences on cotton from where we can keep learning up, and that's where the C+4 countries need to accelerate this process of doing this type of investments, which are investments which are bankable. In the case of FAO, we have the Hand-in-Hand initiative, which is open to this type of initiative where we can help in building up these investment plans, prioritizing areas that have enormous potential, but also assuring that these investments will be sustainable. Next week here we have the Hand-in-Hand Investment Forum, where many countries are coming to show what they can do and trying to get access to resources to increase resilience, assure sustainability, and bring more capital through the private sector and with some de-risking through financial institutions that will allow these countries not only to produce raw fiber, but also to scale up and improve the value added in these commodities. So thank you so much, and I think there is a lot of potential to keep working on this.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mr. Torero. Your points have been well noted. It's a quite comprehensive list. We will refer to that when further developing initiatives. I turn now to my colleague, director of the agribusiness division at UNIDO, Mr. Teixeira. All previous speakers have emphasized the need for local processing. With UNIDO's expertise in industrial development, what strategies, from your point of view, should cotton-producing countries prioritize to build a competitive and a sustainable textile and clothing industries? Dejene, please.
Thank you, Frank. I think my colleagues from FAO and ITC have emphasized the importance of value addition and investment in the area of cotton value chain, I think. To realize this potential, we must, of course, stop exporting raw, not export, reduce import of raw cotton and continue to add value along the value chain from yarn until finished product in the region, let's say. For UNIDO, we support our member states in 4 priority strategic areas. First one, as mentioned before, is value addition. We have to add value to increase our competitiveness and transparency in the region. The second one is introduction of circular economy for competitiveness and for transparency. That is critical. The third one is industrial upgrading, as mentioned by ITC. Small and medium enterprises in Africa are critically important sectors, and upgrading them is extremely important. Then the last one, we support our member states in, let's say, mobilization of partnership and investment, whether from domestic financial resources or from international financial institutions. About value addition, as mentioned by Massimo, that millions and hundreds of millions of people are living from cotton value chain, and exporting again raw cotton is exporting jobs and value. So this requires investment not only in spinning, weaving, or the textile production, but also investment in innovation, automation, digitalization to modernize an African textile system is extremely important. Fostering innovation in materials and design, such as sustainable and technical textiles, suited for African market and African, let's say, climates, can diversify products and create access to high value market. As mentioned before, the African Continental Free Trade Area can strengthen regional textile value chains by connecting the West African cotton growing countries into the continental level value addition hubs or processing hubs is important. Innovation in materials design, including technical and sustainable textiles, enables countries to diversify their products again. Second one is circular economy, as I mentioned before. Circular economy is critically important. It is not only now for the sake of environmental sustainability, but also as a mechanism to enter global market. So the byproducts from cotton, as mentioned by Massimo, are large in number. We have the lint, we have the husk, we have the seed from which we can extract oil, and then we have the cake from which we can produce animal feed, which can, let's say, improve the productivity of our livestock sector, which means milk and more meat. So it is a versatile crop, and then adding value in all these sectors is critically important, and also de-risks the farmers from price fluctuation of the cotton or the lint part of the work. So UNIDO works in C4 plus countries has already demonstrated that the cotton value chain can generate new industries, reduce waste, and improve the livelihoods. So cleaner production is another area which is we are supporting our member states. The third one is industrial upgrading. Small and medium enterprises are critically important, as I mentioned. So we have to invest in industrial clusters, industrial parks, also which mentioned before, with renewable energy resources, water treatment plants, and centers for skills upgrading is important. So we support also these countries, our member states in this area. The fourth is investment promotion. I think transforming the coating center requires coordination and resources, and requires also shared vision. And our partnership with the four UN agencies is a very good example of that we have to move together and we have to work on where the other stops instead of duplicating what try to work. So this partnership for cotton is one good example of creating a partnership. I stop here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dejene. I believe that the ministers and the delegations from the several countries have taken due note of the comprehensive list of services offered, which we will, in the context of the Partenariat, offer jointly with the agencies present here on the panel. I would like to turn now to the ILO. Dan Rees, are you online?
I am, Frank. Good morning.
You are? Okay. We cannot see you. We can hear you. Oh, we can see you now as well. Okay. Glad to see you online, Dan. The question I would like to put to you, in fact, accessing markets is increasingly conditioned on adherence to labor standards. At the same time, the cotton-producing countries want to make sure that the jobs that are created are decent jobs. How can the ILO's experience in promoting decent work guide cotton-producing countries to ensure that value addition in textiles and clothing generates quality jobs and upholds labor standards? Over to you, Dan.
Thank you. And firstly, let me apologize for not being able to sit in that empty chair in the room. Circumstances don't allow for that. And to congratulate our hosts for the excellent organization of World Cotton Day today. So the ILO's role, and just to be clear about where I'm coming from, the ILO's role is setting international labor standards and supporting governments, employers, and workers' organizations to implement them in order to realize decent work. And those standards cover all aspects of rights at work. And so we're about supporting governments to align national labor laws and policies with globally recognized benchmarks for fair, safe, and equitable employment. So it's very much part of the standards that have been referred to today. And currently we work in cotton to garment supply chains in over 20 countries around the world. So for the sake of time, and I know we're short, let me just reflect on 3 lessons that may be helpful in guiding countries as they consider upgrading their cotton supply chains. The first is ILO's experience shows that economic and social upgrading must go hand in hand. Programs such as the IFC ILO Better Work Programme have demonstrated that competitiveness and decent work are complementary goals. When countries move up the value chain by investing in skills, technology, or innovation, they lay the foundation for higher productivity and higher wages. However, to translate this opportunity into quality employment demands respect for fundamental principles and rights at work to be embedded throughout the production. And so this requires a strong enabling environment that supports enterprises to compete on the basis of compliance with labour laws. Secondly, ILO's experience highlights the need for integrated policy frameworks. And I think a number of speakers have referred to this. ILO supports governments, employers and workers in cotton-producing countries to align employment, trade and industrial policies with labour standards. So their participation is key to design the sectoral strategies that promote local value addition whilst ensuring job creation remains inclusive, particularly for women and youth that form such an important part of the workforce in so many places. And I think a related lesson here is the importance of strong national institutions to promote and support inclusive dialogue for the realisation of such policies. And then thirdly, the journey towards decent work in textiles really begins in the cotton fields. Promoting occupational safety and health, eliminating child and forced labour, supporting the formalisation of small enterprises is essential to building a just and sustainable foundation for the textile value chain. And addressing the root causes of child labour requires an area-based approach that integrates social protection, quality education, enforcement of laws, and capacity building for SMEs, and many other things. So I think my point is that a sound value addition strategy from cotton to textiles must be grounded on decent work, as has been said by other speakers, because international markets really insist on that in today's world. And finally, and to conclude, I would emphasize the importance of policy coherence and partnerships that are so vital to lasting change. Again, a theme across this panel. Effective implementation of labour standards requires a whole of government approach that integrates employment, trade, industrial policy, education policies, etc. together. But it's then our responsibility as international organisations to ensure that we act as one, with coherent policy advice to meet the priorities of national governments. And that's why we are so excited in the ILO to be working with each of the organisations around this table through the Partenariat pour le Coton to assist the C4 countries in upgrading their cotton supply chains. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rees. Your points are well noted, and decent work should be the foundation for much of our efforts to address the social dimension of sectoral development. We are short of time. We have 2 more speakers. Can I first turn to Ms. Sarsu? Ms. Sarsu from the IAEA. The IAEA has joined the World Cotton Day since the edition in Vienna, 2023 it was. You have joined the Partenariat pour le Coton as well. You are known for your nuclear science and technologies. How can these technologies contribute to enhancing value addition in the cotton sectors? And what strategies could help scale these innovations? Please.
Thank you so much, Frank, for the question, also opportunity. And building up to excellent points made, my fellow panelists, I will happy to provide you more clarification how nuclear science and technologies can contribute to cotton developments. And when we talk about cotton, we talk about its price. Is it working?
Yes.
Yeah. If we talk about its price, its quality, sustainability, but we mostly forget behind the driver of this progress. What is this? This is science, technology, and innovations. And I will be very happy to share this morning High Excellency Chad ministry also mentioned about the need for better crop varieties and better soil water management practices. And also other speakers mentioned about what the farmers need. What we are doing is we are simply helping the farmers, simply contributing to the farmers more growth and less waste, also reduce the chemical and protecting the environment. And we are as a joint FAO-IAEA center, and through the FAO and the IAEA partnership, we are contributing the using nuclear science and technologies directly contributing food and agriculture. And the sustainable agriculture and food and nutritional security, also cotton development. And we are using nuclear science and technologies for different way for cotton development. First one is better crop varieties, better seeds. To have these products, and we have to have sustainable cotton production. So it starts from the seed. And using nuclear science and technologies, we create genetic variability. And we develop better crop varieties with resistance to climate and showing better yield and longer fiber and stronger lentil, which higher prices, we all know this. So this is the first way. What we are using is to better seed, I will say shortly. Second one is using isotopic techniques to help farmers how much they will use water, and also fertilizer to increasing efficiency using isotopic techniques. And third one is you might know that there is a technique, sterile insect technique, which is which is the basis, sterilizing the male, and the offspring, there is no offspring. This is very shortly I will explain these technologies. It is possible to use for the pink bollworm. I will give very successful examples in my talk soon. And fourth one is right now we know that ionizing radiation is being used for the quarantine treatment for the vegetables and for fruits, and also it is possible to use for the cotton, and it is after harvesting, and ionizing radiation can be used till the product is being used for the final product. And this is all are being developed for using nuclear science and technologies, and also innovations when it comes to the scale up the countries. We have very successful examples. For example, Azerbaijan, we work with them for cotton development and using climate-smart agricultural practices, nitrogen-15, C13, these are the important isotopes to water and fertilizer necessity can be measured with this one. And the yield was doubled. Another successful example, if you have a chance to visit the booth, you will see on the booth as well, we are collaborating with Pakistan more than 30 years. And they are being used, these technologies, nuclear technologies, for several decades. They released 30 cotton varieties, and also 30% of the cotton area is covered with these varieties. And another successful example for the pink bollworm, and USA and Mexico is being used this technology. We work with them, and now eradicated this pink pest. So they are being saving for multi-million dollars. So to put it simply, I have very aware of that. We have a time problem, or that we have to save the time, and we can help farmers for all stages of the cotton production to growing better cotton for sustainable, inclusive, and to contribute food and development, food security, also development of member states. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sarso, and apologies for rushing you there. You've got a rich experience. I'm sure that the countries, the delegations can benefit from interacting with you over the course of the day. So thank you so much for that. Last but not least, can I turn to Mr. Eric Trachtenberg, Executive Director of the ICAC, International Cotton Advisory Committee, to share with us your views on cotton value addition. What best practices, Mr. Trachtenberg, has ICAC observed, and how can ICAC support its member countries, particularly in Africa, on this? Please.
Well, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to speak at my third World Cotton Day. I think one thing that's really important is ICAC sees cotton as a system. It's a value chain that goes from farm to fashion, and it has to be considered together as one integrated whole, because essentially we're only as strong as our weakest link. Since we are an FAO, I will start talking about agriculture, and then I'll talk about other parts of the value chain. So starting at the farm, I think one of the best practices
Mr. Trachtenberg, if I can ask you, you've got a long intervention planned, but could you...
It won't be.
Okay, thank you.
Now, basically, I think we need to start at the farm focusing on regenerative agriculture. And the ICAC method consists of bokashi, biochar, Jivamrit, microorganisms. We actually just completed a project with ITC in Zambia, where we essentially doubled the yields in the project area. We've actually deployed this technology earlier in Burkina Faso. And so the bottom line is that it's possible to both double yields, increase sustainability, and set the stage for farmers to receive carbon payments. And so it is possible to improve on-farm production, and that is the basis for all other kinds of transformation that you wish to do downstream. We're also working with the EU, actually as also mentioned earlier, on a project in Cameroon, where we actually are beginning to set up the fundamentals for a carbon market. And hopefully maybe we can further discuss this at MC14 next year in March. Another very important practice is to have a strategic and well thought out approach to downstream textile sector development. Of course, Benin stands out for its Goji Bay industrial zone, which I've actually had the pleasure of visiting twice. But the reason why it works is that it basically reduces binding constraints to economic growth. And so it works because it addresses property rights, regulation, access to energy, and infrastructure. Those kind of interventions make it easy to invest there, which is why it's working. Another contributor to downstream success in textiles is having a coherent textile policy. Because you can have all the infrastructure and all the energy you want, but if the government doesn't have a logical approach to textiles, it doesn't work. We're very fortunate that we actually have on our staff someone named Kanwar Usman, who is head of Pakistan's textiles policies for 15 years. And he has a very long presentation on how to do textile policies that we're happy to discuss another time. There are other ways that can make a difference. Other very important lessons. Do you have supportive agriculture policies? What is the fertilizer policy? What is the trade policy? What is your market access? What is regional integration? The law of comparative advantage means not every country can do everything. That regional trade can be very important. Is there an infrastructure to deal with pests? ICAC is very focused on the issue of the JACID. We released a major publication on it just this week. And at our ICAC plenary, we're going to sit down and have an intensive open session on the JACID. Because we know that this is a huge pest in Africa. It's actually become a huge pest in the United States. So we're also looking at providing a forum for investment. We understand that Benin will be hosting a regional investment conference, and ICAC sometime later in 2026 will work with the government of Cote d'Ivoire on a global cotton and textile investment summit. So again, the idea is to put the pieces together to liberate the value of African agriculture. And I think by working together, focusing on concrete methods, whether it's trade or developing better varieties or investing in SMEs or focusing on the economics. I think we all are positioned to work together to make a difference. One more note, and then we'll close, is that I do believe we are coming into the cotton market at a good time. Now, of course, that's contrary to a lot of people say. But I've been talking to people on how to be global advocates for cotton. How do we really move the needle? And I do believe we are our nadir. We have a very powerful case about microplastics and livelihoods and lower greenhouse gas emissions. And I do believe the only direction for cotton, especially if we work together, is up. Thank you.
I start spontaneously applauding because I think that is really a very good high note to conclude the panel on. We are really behind time, so I'm not going to endeavor to summarize. The points have been very well made and very well noted, I hope, by all the participants. Unfortunately, I cannot open for questions from the floor. I would like to sincerely thank the panelists for their contributions, you for your attention, and I want to make sure that this is not empty words, yet another session of talk. This is going to be taken forward, whether it's in the context of the Partenariat pour le Coton or in other initiatives that are implemented together with the countries represented here and the different entities. But the time is for action. As Ms. Tembo so aptly formulated it, we converge on what needs to be done. What is needed now is action. So with this, I would like to thank you once again and wish you bon appétit. Thank you.
Apologies, just one moment. Just to remind you to come back here to the Iraq room, but this will be a change not at 2 p.m., but at 2:30 p.m. So 14:30 back here, we will recommence. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Sorry for rushing. C'était un peu